ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports, has reached that Florida destination. We're at the World Center of Speed, Daytona International Speedway, for the inaugural running of the Daytona 250, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Anticipation on the grid is building. 36 trucks will take the green flag in just a matter of a few moments. There is defending champion Jack Sprague and Mike Cope right behind him in the RC Cola Dodge. Hello again, everybody. I'm Marty Reed, alongside 1975 Winston Cup. Well, you won here at Daytona in 1975. Former Winston Cup champion Benny Parsons. The goosebumps on my arms. We have been excited all week. Yesterday in happy hour, 190 miles an hour, 12 trucks, and the slingshot is back.
More than 190 miles per hour. The slingshot is back. That's when this looks like it was in the 70s, in the 80s, when these guys behind just could move up and pass the guys in front of them. We're joined on the broadcast today by Ray Evernham, three-time NASCAR Winston Cup crew chief. And Ray, what mechanically happens to make that slingshot take place?
Well, Benny, let's picture a boat in the water. It creates a wake. The first truck creates a wake in the air. The second truck picks up momentum. He's able to pull out and pass with that momentum and slingshot by. Henceforth, the slingshot.
36 individual stories to tell, but we start with the man who won the championship last year, the two-time winner, Jack Sprague.
I'll come Daytona when they throw that green flag. I'm going to be the only one that's ran every truck race in the history of this series. So, you know, that's kind of a pretty big deal. And, you know, I can't imagine anything else they could have done to help this series or myself. You know, if we're fortunate enough to be able to win this race for GMHC and Hendrick Motorsports, this is probably one of the most important things that we're faced with this year, is to try to win this race and be the first one to win Daytona in the truck.
Well, Jack Sprague has had his hands full with bush practice and also wheeling around this truck. And Jack, you put a lot of emphasis on this race today. Are you even thinking of a championship at this point, or do you want this win?
Well, I'm kind of greedy. I want them both. So I got all the confidence in the world in these guys on this team, GMAC and Dennis Conner. And I think we got a truck that can win this race. It's going to get slippery. You're going to have to use your head and be patient, but I think we can pull it off.
If anybody can pull it off, it would be Jack Sprague, and he's got to be the odds-on favorite. But the sentimental favorite has got to be Rick Corelli.
People don't understand when you have something and you love it so much that you're a part of it, and then all of a sudden it's gone. Then all of a sudden you don't know if you'll ever get it back. Now you get an opportunity to get it back. It's rejuvenation. It's going to be a pretty big accomplishment for everybody that walked that walk with me last year, what I went through. If I can will myself through what I went through last year, if that's any indication what we have this year for a team and myself, I look for great things to happen.
That devastating wreck on May 8th, 1999 at Memphis is a day Rick Corelli will never forget. In fact, he remembers everything, and some thought he would never race again. But doctors cleared him to take to the track on November 9th, and on November 15th, Rick was testing with Phelan Racing. Rick, I know it's good to be back. How big is it to be back and racing at Daytona in your truck?
I tell you what, words can't describe what I went through last year, in Memphis. But you know, the good Lord was with me, and everybody supported me. To get involved with this race team, I mean, words can't describe it. I'm so excited to be here at Daytona, and I'm getting ready to go. And I tell you what, look for good things for this truck this year. I want to say hi to my kids, Dominic and Clissa.
All right, Marty, win or lose today, it will be an emotional and exciting return to the Truck Series for Rick Corelli.
It's great to see Rick Corelli back. In fact, he's already won a race, the Southwest Tour event at the Copper Classic. Stay with us. When we come back, we'll show you the changes NASCAR implemented on the trucks as we get ready to go green.
If you ever think about being a race car driver, it's
NASCAR's done a great job putting together an aerodynamic package that's going to...
you ever think about being a race car driver, it's at Daytona.
It's an honor, actually, for someone, you know, like myself just to race here. Now we come to the birthplace of NASCAR.
You drive in and it's like, wow, this for me is a chance of a lifetime.
If you come down here, you win this race, people are going to remember this all year.
To win the first truck race ever held here, it's going to be a huge event. Draft, 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 draft. You can't say that enough. That's what it's going to be.
It's going to be real crowded coming off that fourth turn for that one guy to win. You know, I hope I'm the guy they're trying to crowd out.
I think if all the fans come out and watch this show, I think they're really going to see an awesome race.
They're going to see an exciting race here about pickup truck. Definitely the truck Super Bowl.
We're all excited. In fact, Greg Biffle said it best, BP. It is the Super Bowl at Daytona. Everybody is just raring to go. In fact, they took a class photo similar to what Winston Cup did first time at the Brickyard.
Marty, there must be 10,000 race car drivers all around this country running on Friday night and Saturday night, all dreaming of coming to Daytona and run Daytona International Speedway. And today, 36 trucks get that chance to run. And Ray Evernham, NASCAR realized that they had some inexperienced drivers and some unknowns with the trucks. They had to make these trucks as easy to drive as possible.
Yeah, they did, Benny, and they made some changes aerodynamically that not only made the trucks easier to drive, but they made them draft better. And there are a lot of eyes going to be on our young drivers today because this is the first race at Daytona that's been run without a restrictor plate in quite some time.
Do you want to find out about the changes that NASCAR implemented on the trucks? Well, that's where we pick up with Amy East.
NASCAR's done a great job putting together an aerodynamic package that's going to make the truck race awesome. They have a 150 square inch grill opening, which will move the air into the truck rather than over, combined with 80-inch fender width. That will also keep the fenders out in the wind. Also, a rubber wicker. This rubber wicker is going to create more front downforce and create some drag on the truck. But a lot of the drag is going to come from the back of the truck. There is a minimum tire pressure rule that will enable this big 8-inch rear spoiler to stay up in the air, combined with a 65-degree angle. It's going to stabilize the truck, slow them down, and give them the opportunity, you know it, to slingshot their way from the back to the front.
Now, thanks, NASCAR. I think the slingshot is going to be great here today with the trucks. The problem is a lot of the drivers have never seen an unrestricted race, and a lot of them haven't raced at Daytona International Speedway. So what do you do about that? Well, if you're Bobby Hamilton, you've got a veteran driver like Joe Ruttman to drive for your team. And, Joe, you've already put the truck on the pole, but at the last lap, if you're going into turn 3, where do you want your truck to be in line?
You know, right in front of Bobby, or maybe I should say I should be right behind Bobby. I'm not sure. No, the Dana Dodge is working real good, and I think the folks are going to see a good race and tremendous amount of slingshots, and I'm sure I'm going to be involved on the winning end, I hope, not the losing end.
So do you want to be in front or not?
I would say no, based upon what I can see right now. Fortunately, I have the ability to know what not to do on this racetrack. I just got to remember 15 years ago what I did wrong, and maybe I can do it right this time.
That's right, Joe Ruttman with the most experience. He may have the best shot here today at Daytona.
He's definitely got the best view. That's a great view of Daytona Beach. That's where we're at. We're getting ready to go green at the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, the inaugural Daytona 250. Don't go away. You're going to do all the onboards?
See that yellow stripe on the inside of pit wall?
Man, the sun is not quit dripping. Good. 65 miles an hour looks awfully slow. 65 miles an hour looks awfully slow. Round one of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, the Daytona 250, is being brought to you by Daytona USA, the official attraction of NASCAR. Trucks have fired the engines and they are on the first of 3 pace laps, and we are getting close to the start of this race. In fact, let's set our starting field. The Mopar starting grid on the front row. Time of 47.9 seconds. The pole sitter, Joe Ruttman, in the Dodge alongside the fastest of the Ford contingent, Mike Wallace. Then in row number 2, it's Lyndon Amick, who really put on a great show throughout practice and qualifying, alongside Marty Houston. Back in row number 3, Bobby Hamilton, teammate and truck owner for Joe Ruttman, alongside Andy Houston. Then back in the 4th row, Jack Sprague, the defending champion, alongside Mike Cope. That's a new ride for him. Stacy Compton drove that truck last year. Then there's Rick Corelli in the number 9 starting spot, alongside Steve Grissom, taking over Richard Petty's number 43 Dodge.
On the inside of row 6, Randy Tolzma, longtime truck competitor. Dennis Setzer, 3 wins last year on the outside of row 6. On the inside, Brian Refner, a new team for him this year, John Menard out of Indianapolis, and Rick Crawford with a new sponsor, Milwaukee Electric Tools. On the inside, Kenny Martin has purchased his 98 truck, and on the outside, 9 victories in 1999, Greg Biffle. And in row 9, Jimmy Hensley, a new ride for him this year, the Chevrolet number 16, and Randy Renfro on the outside. And back in row 10, Jeffrey Bodine of the NASCAR Winston Cup, and Ron Barfield with his own equipment this year.
Then as we move into row 11, it's Jamie McMurray alongside of Rob Morgan. Then as we move back into row number 12, we'll find Lance Norrick and Rich Woodland. Then in row number 13, it'll be Jimmy Kitchens and Donnie Neuenberger. And then it'll be John Young and B.A. Wilson. They'll be back in row 14. Row 15, we find Randy McDonald and Carlos Contreras. Rounding out the field, it'll be Lonnie Rush and Terry Cook. Cook had to take a provisional as he lost a gear in qualifying. Then it's David Starr and Kurt Busch. Busch lost a motor in qualifying. That's why he's on the provisional list. Morgan Shepherd and Ryan McGlynn also rounding out this truck 36 truck field on provisionals. We had 16 trucks that unfortunately were not able to make the show. That's right, we had quite a few that took a long haul all the way to Daytona and are heading home already. And you can see the first of the 8 there that did not make the show, including Carl Long, and then the other 8, including Jeff Spraker, Tommy Croft, he's run a couple of times. Phil Bonifield ran a lot of the races last year. And that brings us to onboards, we're at race analysis. So let's take a look at what we've got as far as the prize money. Over $700,000 at stake. We'll go 100 laps, 250 miles. Pit window will be between 30 and 33 laps. Tires may give out a little bit sooner. We'll talk to Ray about that. And of course, this is the fastest qualified field in Truck Series history, 182 mile an hour average. Now let's take a look at the onboards, BP.
Jeffrey Bodine, the Line-X onboard. He will start 19th. Greg Biffle, the Granger Industrial Supply, he starts 16th. The Mopar Dodge of Dennis Setzer starts in the 12th position outside of row 6. Steve Grissom in Richard Petty's Dodge will start 10th. We're right along with him. Mike Cope, the RC Cola Dodge, he starts in the 8th position. This is the old ride of Stacy Compton. Bobby Hamilton has the Dana Dodge in the 5th position. On the outside of the front row is Mike Wallace, Team ASC Ford. And we also have an onboard camera on the pole sitter, Joe Ruttman, Dana Dodge.
They're in between turns 3 and 4, and we're getting word that they may not be going green this time by. I'll tell you what, that's going to give us a chance to take a commercial break. You will not miss the start. The lights are back on the pace truck. Stay with us at Daytona International Speedway. We'll find out why we're still in the yellow when we come back.
What isn't working, Bill? Caution lights on the speedway are not working.
Okay. Caution lights not working. Who pulled
By the way, Marty?
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Amick.
Amick?
Lyndon Amick.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right, which one are we talking about now? Okay. Okay.
Parnelli Jones is here, Marty.
He is? Okay.
Yeah. Ain't in attendance.
And it's, on my list, it goes from bottom to top, right? Or no? Okay, you got them numbered, I see. There have been a number of firsts at the World Center of Speed. How about Lee Petty in 1959 and that great finish? Banjo Matthews, first Busch Grand National win. Fireball Roberts on that list as well in 1959 at the Pepsi 400. Dan Gurney, the first sports car race, the old Lotus Climax. He had to push it across the line for the victory. And Parnelli Jones, the Paul Revere 250 in 1967. High above Daytona International Speedway, one of these 36 drivers will add their name to this inaugural race winner list, as this is the first running of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at the 2.5-mile World Center of Speed. The reason that we had one extra lap of caution, well, the lights, the caution lights in turn number 4 were not functioning properly. Amy, quick update.
Quick update on Mike Wallace. We had a little time to chat with Tim Cahoot and asked, are you going to have any drafting help out there on the start? They said, you got to look back to 9th place Rick Corelli to find a Ford. We're all around Dodges, and we think the two of Hamilton and Ruttman are going to leave us out to dry. Let's see what Dave Burns has to say. Dave?
Amy, speaking of Mike Wallace, he ran out of fuel during drafting practice last night right in front of Lyndon Amick. Amick got on the binders as quick as he could, and right behind him, Andy Houston had nowhere to go. Got pretty hard into the back of Amick, but Lyndon saved it. So he's got his jitters out of the way early. And even Andy Houston said, hey, man, that was a heck of a save.
Well, guys, the lights are still on the pace truck, and we are having a malfunction over in turns 3 and 4. And now they're giving us the 1 to go. So we've got a little time, Ray. Let's talk about fuel, because right now with no yellow, you'd have to make 3 stops. Now they're burning 2 extra laps under caution. Are you, as a crew chief, saying, uh-oh, I got to rethink this a little?
Well, you might have your driver stay in line a little bit. You want to try and, as they draft some more, their fuel mileage is probably going to go up today a little bit, Marty. And what you're going to try and do is do this race on 2 stops. Right now, talking to some of the guys, they might not even put left side tires on at all today. If the race stayed green for the whole time, you'd probably see two stops right side tires.
Well, remember, it is the 2-tire rule. Under caution, you can only change 2 tires at a time. Under green, you can change all 4. A lot more action coming up on Speed Weeks. Let's take a look at it tonight. NASCAR 2000 continues with the families of NASCAR at 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Then tomorrow, Happy Hour, we'll show it to you at 10 o'clock Eastern time on ESPN2. And then Monday, it'll be the winning car induction ceremony over at Daytona, USA. 4 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. Just to let you know, they're not counting these laps. So again, that's going to hurt the fuel consumption situation, BP.
And we put up the graphic that these trucks can only run 30 to 33 laps on fuel. A Winston Cup car can probably run 50 to 55 laps. The difference being the restrictor plate. These trucks trying to push all that air and unrestricted, they're burning a lot of fuel, Ray.
Absolutely, Benny. It takes a lot of horsepower to push that air, and to make horsepower, you have to burn a lot of fuel. These trucks also have quite a bit more gear than the Winston Cup cars. Winston Cup car would be a 290 to 300 gear ratio. The trucks are somewhere between 350 and 370, but with that extra gear, it'll also make it easier to pass.
One more equation in the fuel situation. Remember, we do not finish under yellow in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. So you've got to have yourself a little bit of a guarantee in that tank in case we do have to go to a green-white checkered finish. Remember what happened to Mike Bliss at Phoenix just a couple of years ago. Ran short of fuel in that extra race period and lost the event. Word from NASCAR is the lights are fixed, so it looks like after 2 extra caution laps for a total of 5, we are finally going to be able to go green in the inaugural running of the Daytona 250. We have waited Well, it's been 5 years. Started the 6th year of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and they have come home to the birthplace of speed. The pace truck pulls off as 36 trucks and the crowd on their feet at Daytona. Round 1 of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series is green. Jack Sprague, bad start, got a little loose.
I think when he nailed the throttle, the rear tire spun or someone got in the back of it. Meanwhile, you see Steve Grissom going by the 4 of Bobby Hamilton, and Hamilton has trouble in the 4 truck, or is he just hung out to dry?
He's going backwards, that's for sure. He is alone, cannot find any help. Bobby Hamilton has dropped about 10 positions just that quickly. Look at Jimmy Hensley in the 16. That's on the high side of Randy Tolsma. Coming out of turn 4, we're going to complete lap number 1. Joe Ruttman's going to lead the way. Right behind him, it's Mike Wallace, Lyndon Amick, Marty Houston, and Steve Grissom. There is Refner in the 3. Alongside the Axiom 4, look out, get a little clearance there, fellas. Back to the lead.
And look at this.
Ruttman, he made an error. He's gotten blown by. We told you the slingshot was back. Look at this.
And Lyndon Amick takes a 52 truck of Schrader's to the front, followed by Marty Houston, Steve Grissom, and here comes Andy Houston.
And your leader at lap 1 is all the way back to 6th place. Just that quick, on board with Mike Wallace.
And look at that run that he gets on Grissom. Now that Ray is a slingshot.
Absolutely, Benny. That was a premier slingshot. Mike said before that he could not believe how fast these trucks closed up. His big concern was running in the back of somebody.
Top speed during happy hour yesterday, 191 miles an hour. We've completed 2 of 100 laps. Look at this. That is number 1, Dennis Setzer, alongside Rick Crawford in the number 14. To the battle up front. Here comes Ruttman. Now he's taking advantage, trying to go around Wallace. Can't get it done. And he's going to potentially lose another spot. Here comes Greg Biffle.
But Biffle has no draft help.
And all of a sudden, Ruttman does pick up a partner in his fellow Dodge teammate.
Finally, Biffle gets some help from Randy Renfro in the 41 Dodge. Meanwhile, up. And we got a battle for the lead. Here's Marty Houston and his brother Andy. 75 is Marty, 60 is Andy. Drafted right by Lyndon Amick.
So Amick had the lead. Now he's shuffling back through the slingshot. Mike Wallace trying to ride the coattails of the Houston brothers. Surprise, surprise that those two would get together on the racetrack. Guarantee it goes away on lap 100.
There we see a couple of Dodge. Oh, and Setzer almost, I think he did brush the wall off turn 4 in that Mopar number 1.
Doesn't look any worse for wear. He's still holding his speed and his position.
And there's a battle for the lead as Mike Wallace just blows by Marty Houston.
On board with Mike Wallace looking out the back. That's where he'd like to keep it, but it isn't going to stay that way. Every lap we've had a lead change.
Looks like Bobby Hamilton in the 4 truck is back up to speed.
Let's go on board with Steve Grissom. He is suffering from bronchitis, can barely talk. Communication with the crew could be very difficult for that team today. Look at him fly by. That's what 190 looks like.
We're back in 12th position right now. This is what you used to see when you came to Daytona.
Absolutely, Benny. I can see what Joe Ruttman said before, that leading might not be the place to be, and it certainly looks like it. These guys seem to be able to pass at will.
Hamilton and Ruttman trying to hook up there, but Bobby sort of got pinched high on the wall.
By Joe Ruttman.
By Joe Ruttman.
We're right along board with Joe Ruttman as he looks back at Lyndon Amick, and here comes trucks on the inside. Bobby Hamilton hooked up with the 16 of Jimmy Hensley.
2 laps ago, Lyndon Amick was your leader. He's in 8th place right now. Oof. Tail came out. Amick almost brushed the wall. It's Rick Crawford in the 14. He's trying to find a drafting partner. Hasn't been able to do it. Randy Tolsma in the Superguard Dodge right behind him. And there is Setzer and Grissom. They're all locked up together. Mike Cope also in that group. Down the backstretch again. Joe Ruttman trying to go inside. That is Randy Renfro in the 41. And look at the help. Hamilton trying to give his teammate Ruttman down low. But that's harder on tires.
Absolutely. Anytime you run the bottom, it wears the right side tires more than if you were up top. But I'll tell you, the trucks look really stable with those stiff rear springs that NASCAR's mandated.
Look at the speed chart. And the fastest in the field right now, Jeffrey Bodine, all the way down in 15th position at 192.
Right now, they're trying to have a 4-truck breakaway with Wallace, Biffle, and the Houston boys, but here come the Dodges, Joe Ruttman and Bobby Hamilton.
Go on board with Bobby Hamilton.
Wow! Look at how he closes in on the back of Ruttman.
See ya.
That's an unbelievable run, Betty. And they can keep doing that leapfrogging and actually pick up the speed on both of those trucks.
Coming down to complete lap number 7 of 100.
And it looks like the Biffle is off the pace. Maybe he just got the truck loose, but he's moved. He was second spot. He's now moved back to about 7th or 8th as Andy Houston moves up into that second spot.
So right now, it is Marty Houston, followed by brother Andy. There is Mike Wallace on the Team ASC Ford. He's on the high side. Bobby Hamilton right behind him. And Ruttman behind Hamilton. On board with Ruttman. Meanwhile, let's go back and check in with Greg Biffle. Truck sounds okay, BP.
Sounds okay. Looks okay as he moves back up. Evidently, there was some contact or something that got him off the throttle and moved. Oh, he has to back up here and back off the throttle?
That's that vacuum. I mean, it just sucked him right up in there. This is incredible.
What's great about having that extra horsepower and more gear is that they can back off without paying a penalty. They can back off and catch right back up again.
One of the things we were talking about, everybody's worried about overheating, though, because you've got the throttle full tilt boogie all the way.
I don't think they're going to overheat because NASCAR's mandated they have to use a certain grill opening, as Amy East told you, and I believe that's enough grill opening to keep these vehicles cool.
On board with Mike Wallace. He's your race leader. There's Marty Houston. And Houston has looked really impressive. Admitted last year that he was basically mid-pack field filler, but this year he says we're loaded for bear, and they've done some serious testing.
And looks like it's paying off. Meanwhile, the Dodgers are trying to hook up and go by on the outside.
Back on board with Mike Wallace. Marty Houston right behind him. The Dodgers, Bobby Hamilton, Joe Ruttman on the left. Now Greg Biffle right now is in 7th position. You want to find out what happened? Let's take a look from the blimp. Take a look. Oh, he did. He brushed the wall, BP.
And that's when he backed off the throttle and allowed all these trucks to go by. I wondered what might have happened to him.
Amy, you got more?
He did not radio into the crew to tell them that he hit the wall, but he did say that he thinks he has problems with the right front. Not quite sure yet if that's going to pan out. They told him, Greg, hold on. Let's see what's going to go on. If we have a problem, we'll come in, but right now it seems like he's doing pretty good. So a little bit of a right front problem with that contact with the wall for Greg Biffle.
Biffle right now has moved into the 6th position and trying to climb ever higher.
Uh-oh, we've got a car. Is that Lyndon Amick? No, it's a 35 of
David Starr. Yep. David Starr, who had problems in qualifying, had changed motors, thought he had a pretty good pony going into the race, but it did not work as he is slow on the backstretch and is about to go a lap down as he's heading towards pit lane. There's the battle for the lead. It probably will change. We're live at Daytona International Speedway. We'll update you when we come back at the Daytona 250. I can't get any stats in because the lead's changing so many times.
Man. Dave, we just want to know what happened to Sprague on the start. It looked like he spun the tires, or I don't know if he did, or someone ran in the back of him.
Started 7th, he's running 12th, but he is moving up.
There's the lead.
They don't think they did anything. They don't think they had anything, Benny, but I was going to update that they thought they had a left rear going down, and apparently that's not true.
Oh, baby. 3 wide. That'll let everybody back up.
Tell you, this is what it's supposed to be.
4 leaders, 3 changes at the line.
3 wide. Might get shuffled on the
Oh, crash 2. Sprague.
Right. Grissom.
Yep.
Did it all start with that 3 wide stuff? Is that how it all started?
I think it was behind that, Ben.
Yeah, I think it was behind.
There was a truck down on the apron. I don't know if he got loose first. I don't know if it was 25 truck.
Back at Daytona International Speedway, the Daytona 250, and we are under our first caution. And while during commercial break, yes, that is the defending champion, Jack Sprague. He was one of many in a turn 2 tangle that has sent several trucks scurrying for pit lane for damage control. And Sprague looks the worse for wear. Remember, though, Sprague crashed last year at the season opener. There is Brian Refner. He's also in serious hurt. Sprague crashed last year at the first race, came back to win the championship. BP, take us through it.
Let's see if we can see what happened right there. The 15 of Jeffrey Bodine gets a bump from Lyndon Amick, and meanwhile these guys have to start backing off, and Steve Grissom, I guess, was the first guy to make serious contact. And the 24 car and the 3 car, I think Rick Crawford also was involved in the 14. Let's see. Here's Crawford coming the red truck. Bam! He hits the wall hard when he gets a blow from Jack Sprague. So it looks like 5 or 6 trucks involved.
And Benny, that's very, very hard. If you've been going down the freeway and the cars, 10 cars in front of you slow down, by the time it gets to you, there's just no way you can stop.
Lyndon Amick gets in the back of Jeffrey Bodine, and when he hits Jeffrey, he backs off, and Grissom then backs off, and the trucks behind them just cannot back off quickly enough. They run into Grissom, spin him, and once the first truck spins, it's on.
So we've got the 43 of Steve Grissom already going back out. Aerodynamically, it's not looking too good, but the motor sounds okay.
And trucks are coming down pit road to make a pit stop.
Bobby Hamilton was your race leader at the time of the yellow. Dave?
Marty, don't know if you were talking Bobby Hamilton or Joe Ruttman. Joe Ruttman is in. They go to the right side, and they will change the 2 tires that they can do under yellow and get Ruttman back out of here. Amy?
On pit lane, Bobby Hamilton, his teammate and truck owner, is doing the same. Right side tires, they scrape off the grill. He's back into his pit car. Oh, there we go. He finally made it out. He was stuck there. Andy Houston comes out right behind him, as does Greg Biffle.
It looks like did I see damage on the right rear of Bobby Hamilton's truck? Maybe that was an optical delusion, but...
Now there is the hook with the Menard Chevrolet of Brian Refner.
And I guess I don't see Refner in the truck. I assume that he jumped in the ambulance and is going to the care center just to get checked out.
Well, the left side of Hamilton's truck's okay, but we'll check the right side next opportunity. Yeah, he's got a little damage on the left rear quarter panel and on the right rear, VP.
That's what I saw, was that thing hanging off the right rear.
Let's go on board on the replay from Mike Cope.
Never see Rick Crawford. He's going to be involved.
And now Steve Grissom, and he's not going to be as fortunate.
Not as fortunate. Right, he's going to run in the back of the 52, right in for the yellow truck. Lyndon Amick right here is going to make contact with, there we go. And when he jams on the brakes, Grissom, to avoid Lyndon Amick, he gets punted from behind, and the world goes in the spin cycle.
And it seems like it's never going to stop when you're riding along at that speed.
Andy Houston made a mistake. He should have pitted the last time with the leaders, has now decided to come into pits and lose all that track position. Talking about the red and yellow cat, number 60.
So Andy coming down pit lane, and you're right, BP, he is going to lose a ton of track position. Amy, what happened?
Well, it seems as though he's got a flat left front. They're going to go and change the left front and also take the left rear on as well. Oh, I'm sorry, flat left rear. They had told me that they thought Bobby Hamilton had backed into their truck when he was stuck in his pit stall, but that doesn't seem to be the case. Nevertheless, a flat left rear for Andy Houston.
Sometimes that's what happens when you stay out. Even if you were to pit, go out, there's a wreck. Sometimes just a little piece of debris can puncture the outer liner on these tires, and you have to pit again with a flat.
So a tough break for Andy Houston, as that's going to put him back in the cycle. And boy, you talk about tough breaks. Jack Sprague's been here before, Dave.
He sure has, Marty, and he just very calmly flicked off the rest of the toggle switches on his dash. And Jack, we know it happened awful fast out there. What did you see?
Well, I don't know. I didn't really want to be out in the middle of all that. When we took off, I thought I had a left rear flat, but the truck come around and it was running pretty good. And caught back lead drive. I'm just going to hang out there a while. And, you know, everybody's all worried about the truck drivers and the truck series being here. And the Winston Cup driver started that mess. So we're in trouble here.
Hey, Jack, that at the start, was it that flat left rear you thought you had? Is that what the problem was at the start?
Yeah, I wasn't sure, so I thought off for a couple laps to make sure I was all right, and I was. And came right back up there, had a good truck. The guys did a great job. Just it's unfortunate people got to do things like that, but it always happens.
All right, well, as you said, Marty, they came back last year, and Sprague, the defending champion, will try to do it again in 2000.
That's Crew Chief Dennis Conner climbing out from underneath the truck, just surveying the damage, and they'll continue work on the GMAC Chevrolet. The title defense does not get off to a very good start. We're under yellow at Daytona. Stay with us.
Chevy, I don't see him anywhere. I'm assuming he's in the garage area. I don't see him anywhere out there.
Blimp Pop. Got my copy. Thank you. What kind of crowd we think we got, guys? What's the main grandstand hole? Yes. Right. I don't have their names. David Starr is out of the race.
You keeping laps? Pit stops?
Okay.
First chance we get on a break. Like, let's check the telemetry and see if it's right.
Our sky-high views of today's race, courtesy of the Bud One Airship and Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR. And last night in front of our hotel along the beach, they came flying in so low, we thought we were going to get a pop a top before we ever left the parking lot.
Well, as you see, the trucks are circulating around the Daytona International Speedway on the caution flag. We've had our big crash. Well, it wasn't a huge crash, but it was for Jack Sprague and Rick Crawford and Steve Grissom. The trucks were involved.
On board with our race leader right now, Mike Wallace. He knows how to win at Daytona. Go back to 1994. That's him in the number 52. That's an ARCA race. And Mike drove her to victory lane. He knows the direction. It's a left turn down pit lane. We're getting ready to go back to green flag racing on lap number 19. This is We've had, let's see, 6 different leaders already in this race, and we're back underway at the Daytona 250. Mike Wallace leads them down into turn number 1. Boy, he got a great jump.
That might not be good, right, Ray?
Yeah, I was just going to say, boy, you know, getting a big lead out there is not a good idea. The 4 and the 50, if they pick up momentum in that draft, they're going to catch those guys and be going a little bit faster when they do catch them.
Going to find out down the 3,000-foot backstretch. Meanwhile, look at the traffic behind them. They're going to try it 3 wide all the way down the apron. In fact, that's someone slowing there. That is the 16 of Jimmy Hensley. Look at that left rear.
Probably what you're talking about, Ray. Some debris on the racetrack, run over it and puncture that tire.
Yeah, Benny, again, that's one of the problems when they do have a wreck.
3 wide through the tri-oval. Pick your favorite and hold on, boys.
Well, we see that Mike Wallace is not the leader. Well, there he is. He's still in the lead. Sorry about that.
Look at Marty Houston up high. Coming right back into contention, but he's lost the drafting partner of his brother.
Meanwhile, they've got Biffle on the inside, and the outside line's continuing by. Here's about it for the lead. Is this Rudman or Hamilton? It's Hamilton and Rudman teamed up together, going by Mike Wallace.
Bye-bye, Mike. He is going to have to find some forward help. He's the quickest forward all weekend, but right now you can see the 2 Dodge teammates. They have been very effective at keeping those Dana Dodges up front. Jimmy Hensley's in the pits. They're trying to get the truck up a little higher so they can get the left rear. Amy?
He definitely had a left rear tire. We can see it now that all that is left of this tire is the inner liner. The actual outer side of the entire tire is gone. So he has eaten up the left rear. Nevertheless, he's taking on left sides and he's back out. Tough luck for Jimmy Hensley and the Renzi team.
Amy, can you tell if it was damaged? Oh, I guess you can. Now we can even see it.
Great. Yeah, you can see it. This tire is chewed up, but the inner liner did its job and held in there for Jimmy so that he did not crash. Dave Burns.
Amy, speaking of inner liners, these tires came off of Steve Grissom's number 43. You can clearly see how the extra 10 pounds of weight the inner liner adds are in the tire. This is the one that got chewed up. And the other one, obviously, part of the problem as well. But things like that will save these guys on the super speedway like Daytona. Now, as for Grissom, he had changed all 4 tires. He can change 4 under yellow if he's got 2 damaged, which we clearly saw that he did. They had a problem with the fuel fill on the truck. That was damaged. They think they've got that out now. As we ride with Steve Grissom, we think that he's okay and that they can get the fuel in. They stopped 3 times, guys, during that sequence.
Grissom shown in 20th spot, and he's moving up, and that thing's bent up all to pieces there. I mean, he's doing a great job.
41 truck of Randy Renfro waving his hands. He feels like he has a problem as we ride along with Greg Biffle in the Granger Ford. He tries to get up on the back tailgate of Posma and get by. And we hear Biffle backing off that throttle. Ray, that's something we don't hear at Daytona. We haven't heard in Daytona for years. Someone backing off the throttle.
No, Benny, and what they're doing is just to stop running in the back of the guy ahead of them. As Mike Wallace told me before, that these things suck up so good because of that big hole that they put in the air, which is why Steve Grissom is probably still running okay. His truck is probably not that more tore up than blowing a bigger hole in the air than when they started.
There's Terry Cook in the 88. He has moved himself into 4th position.
And those Dodgers that were leading, what, a lap and a half ago, now they're back in 5th and 6th.
Now remember, Cook started on a provisional back in 32nd, so he has made a superior charge towards the front. The 2 Dana Dodgers trying to go on the high side. Let's set it for you if it holds up this long. The top 5 is Mike Wallace, Marty Houston, Lyndon Amick, then the 88 of Cook, and then the number 4, Dana Dodge of Bobby Hamilton.
Marty trying to give a rundown as usual, so it's going to change. Look at Grissom with that beat-up Dodge on the bottom, trying to get by Andy Houston.
Benny, as long as the wheels are straight on that thing and he hasn't done any suspension damage, it should not be too bad.
Well, he's got to feather the throttle, whether it was because he was worried about coming up on somebody or getting a little loose.
It was Jamie McMurray in the 26 truck that they were going by, and Lance Norrick in the 90. There's Jeffrey Bodine. Lonnie Rush in the yellow number 27.
I'm surprised that Mike Copey survived the crash, but he's moving backwards right now and all the way back up to the front, where it is still Mike Wallace in front of Marty Houston. Oh, and a spin, and it's Mike Cope. He keeps it off the wall. Hold on, Mike. It looks like his left rear went down.
Yes, he had the
Might have
flat
had a tire
tire.
going.
And the caution flag is out.
Second caution of the day here on lap number 25. And now we've got some flames coming out of the pipes. And yes, there is the left rear.
That's what caused the spin. I think the left front probably went flat from the spin, but the left rear, I'm sure, caused the spin.
So Mike gets a break by being right at pit in and does not hit the wall. So the crew will be able to put 2 fresh ones on. And I'm starting to wonder, did you notice anything on those tires, Ray? Could we be seeing some wear because of the high speeds?
I really don't think so. Again, it might be a debris thing, and it takes a while for the tire to go down. And you could see that left rear probably, it felt funny. As you said, he was slowing down, and then it lost all of its air at once. Now, it's normal for a tire, the outer tire, when it does lose all of its air, for the belt to come off like that.
Let's go on board.
Up between 3 and 4. We'll listen.
Boy, he did a great job.
You heard that little pop? That was when the left front tire blew. And, you know, he might not lose a lap. The pace car has picked up the field. He's gone to the attention of the pit road. The right front tire is flat, but where did the tire come from?
Somebody has lost a tire. It's the number 97 that has lost that tire, and that's Ron Barfield.
The left rear has come off the Barfield car. But Mike Cope does get a break. He does not lose a lap as the field comes by to take the caution flag.
But I think Mike may be coming back because it looked like that right front was losing air as well. Don't go away. There's your top 5 after 25 laps at the Daytona 250.
If we can, we need to lay out on those speed shots. You know, just so that we can hear the boom, boom, as the trucks go by. I mean, by the way, in the pits, we have established that you can only change 2 tires. And the world has seen Mike Cope change the left sides. If he comes back in, if the right front is flat, Amy or Dave needs to establish that you can change a tire that's flat. Okay. Now, what'd you start to say, Joe?
Did that? Yeah, and we kind of do that with the Steve Grissom story, but I think we can repeat it.
Yeah, it's worth repeating.
Yep.
Okay,
No, you're fine. You're fine. That I said a lot of stuff. Okay. I'm not sure I got it right.
What, Jill?
Do I need to do a blimp pop here? Or? Okay. Okay.
You're talking about behind the wall or the garage area, Chevy?
Under our second caution at Daytona International Speedway. Next week, we are going to be Florida bound once again down at Miami Homestead. That's going to be next week. Homestead, Saturday, February 26th, 3:30 Eastern Time for the Florida Dodge Dealers 400 from Miami Homestead Speedway. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. Go.com will be on ESPN too. Guess who's going to be the Grand Marshal for that, BP?
For the Dodge Dealers 400?
Yeah. I think it's the guy who's sitting to our right.
Congratulations, Ray.
Yeah, Benny, when you don't have a race car to work on, they can find a lot for you to do. But it's my honor to go down there and do that for my friends at Dodge.
Now, we had a bunch of pit stops during the commercial break. Let's get an update on what happened. Let's go to Amy East first.
Well, Mike Wallace hit his pit stall, and they took on left side tires and fuel. They also checked the front grille for damage. It checked out okay, and Mike requested no chassis change. He liked the truck. Dave Byrne.
Amy Polsitter, Joe Ruttman came in. They changed left side tires and fueled the truck. They came in the first time and changed right side tires, so they're on the right-left rotation, just haven't gotten lefts on Ruttman's truck.
There is Joe Ruttman, right now shown in 8th position. Your race leader is Terry Cook. And then Rich Woodland, who stayed out on the racetrack, is now in 2nd place. Jimmy Hensley is 3rd. Marty Houston is 4th. And Mike Wallace rounds out your top 5. Mike Cope back into the pits. Now remember, he had a right front going down, so he had to come back in. You could only change 2 at a time unless you can prove that you've got a flat spot, and he was able to prove it all right, and so he came back in. They worked on the fenders as well. Lights are out on the pace truck. There's Jimmy Hensley bringing the 16 in. Silverado makes the stop. They're going to go for that grill work. You think he's heating up a little bit, Ray?
Could possibly be. The one thing that makes the trucks heat up, as we talked about before with the draft, that's kind of dead air back there, so they're really not getting the pressure on the radiator to keep the water and the oil cool like it would be if you were out in the open air. So the opening might not be big enough when the guys are in the draft.
We saw the guy trying to clean the debris, the tire. As these tires wear, they grind the rubber off and they become small balls, and they will adhere to the grills of these cars and stop up the grill. So we saw the fellow out there trying to brush that piece of rubber off the grill.
Well, he topped off the fuel, but he drops way back into the pack, was running 3rd, and he'll have to fall back into line. In fact,
I'm not sure that
31st place.
I'm not sure that's right, Marty. I think that Jimmy Hensley's a lap down. They might have accredited him with 3rd and what have you, but it's just hard to believe he made that unscheduled pit stop and changed it left side.
You're right, BP. I'm checking scoring right now, and they do show him 1 lap down. So Jimmy makes the stop. Let's bring you up to speed just in case you're tuning here on ESPN. We had 1 serious incident so far. Watch the 52 right there. Gets into Bodine, and then the chain reaction occurs.
And Jeff Sprang, the 24, and the red 14 of Rick Crawford are the 2 guys that suffered the most. And what a great job that Bodine does to keep this car from going back across the racetrack. Ray, how do you do that?
Luck.
Oh, okay.
Lots of experience, Benny. You know, those guys are used to driving those cars around at 190 miles an hour, and Jeff's been doing it a long time.
Not only on the lead lap, he is shown right now in 8th position, so almost no damage, at least to the front of the truck. So Jeff Bodine, who will not be in the Daytona 500, did not make the show. This is his one chance to get back to victory lane. Whoa! Amick getting squirrely on the restart. Or no, that was Terry Cook that got loose. Another of the yellow trucks. We're back to green flag racing.
And that is something that we have not seen in a long time at Daytona. Cars spinning the wheels, or trucks spinning the wheels on the restart.
That's Rich Woodland, very slow on the bottom of the racetrack.
Rich Woodland just simply missed a shift. That's his problem. As Jimmy Hensley, the 16 truck, trying to get a lap down. But here comes the leaders, and here comes the 75 of Marty Houston and Mike Wallace, and they just blow right by poor Terry Cook.
The question is now, where's Terry going to finish up after this parade goes by?
And that's what we talked about. He had a great jump on these other trucks, but they got that run coming down the backstretch.
And as a driver, you have got to be thinking about this positioning now, lap after lap, seeing these guys go blowing by you for the end of the race, right?
Well, definitely, Marty. You're trying to find out just who will help you and who you're going to work with. There's certain trucks that if they get side by side, your truck will run better or worse, or draft better or worse with another one. So you want to find your dancing partner for the end of the race.
Right now, Jeff Bodine dancing up high.
He's running in 9th place right now as he tries to close up on the back of, I guess that's Greg Biffle. Meanwhile, a battle for the lead. Here comes Wallace and Bobby Hamilton and Lyndon Amy.
Marty Houston's the guy on the high side, and he's going to take the shuffle off the Buffalo. He'll pull back in at 6th. So far, guys, we've had 7 different leaders, 10 lead changes, and we've got 70 laps to go. Here we go again. Mike Wallace Down on the inside, Bobby Hamilton, Lyndon Amick on board with Mike Wallace. That's Marty Houston right behind him. I think the thing that's amazing is, despite how big and boxy these trucks are, it's amazing how stable they seem to be with all that traffic and all that airflow.
Well, NASCAR's mandated a spring-in shock rule for the trucks. No less than 1,500 pounds in the front, no less than 425 pounds in the rear. It makes them very stable.
Circuit City telemetry on board with Bobby Hamilton.
Let's check out the miles per hour as he comes down the front stretch. 187, 186 miles per hour. And look at this mess behind him. And Terry Cook's down to the inside trying to go somewhere, but it's tough sledding on the bottom of the racetrack, especially when you have those fast trucks up on the outside. And you talk about a Ford. Finally, Mike Wallace in the 2 truck has a Ford of Greg Biffle behind him.
So that may be a good drafting contingent.
They're right now running 3rd and 4th, and Wallace is trying to look on the outside of Lyndon Amick.
Back on board with Mike Wallace. There is his drafting partner, Greg Biffle, right behind him. And there they go, past Lyndon Amick.
16 trucks in this lead pack.
What great racing, right? About now, all you can tell is your drivers, have fun and be careful.
And Mike Wallace and Biffle work their way right to the front, and Hamilton is now on the outside, going back to 5th, 6th, 7th. Come on, guys. Let me say 8th. Come on, Renfro.
12th lead change, and that's only the official ones at the stripe. We've seen it swap a couple of times on the backstretch. Hamilton's looking around saying, Joe, Rutman, where are you? He's 2 trucks behind him. He needs help. Rutman way high. Superguard Dodger Randy Tolsma right behind. Coming down for the tri-oval. This will be completion of lap number 33. The Mopar Dodge crew looking on as Mike Wallace is the leader. Back after this.
Biffle jumped out there trying to take the lead. They're side by side down the back. He has who? Lyndon Amick? No. Oh, man, look at that truck on the outside. Terry Cook.
Terry Cook.
Run.
He's got nowhere to go.
Man. Good stuff.
Kurt Busch.
Look at Kurt.
Backstretch 188.
Yeah, we'll see some 190s as the. Well, Biffle said, I don't think I'll try that in again.
Marty Houston working his way back up. Here he comes.
I think Mike Wallace might have the hoss here. If those Dodgers, the 4 and 18, can't get hooked up, Mike Wallace is going to be hard to beat. I'm telling you. Who's that? 2?
That's Wallace. He's got a problem.
Mike Wallace has a problem in the pits.
Mike Wallace, our race leader, has a problem. He is slow in turn number 3, heading towards pit lane. And Benny, it was all of a sudden. Let's take a look.
With his onboard going down in turn 1. And we've got a crash. Man. This is a live shot. Randy Renfro almost goes over as he nails Bobby Hamilton.
Manages to get it under control. That's Bobby Hamilton. This all happened right down towards pit out.
Now Hamilton's going the wrong way on pit road, trying to get to pit road as he and Mike Wallace about to run into each other on pit road.
Mike Wallace missed the wreck. There you see him pulling into his pit stall. Hamilton, Amy?
Well, Mike had radioed in that he thought he had a tire going down on the right side. I didn't get specifications if it was front or rear. Nevertheless, you don't want a tire going down. Mike changes right sides and he's back out.
And the worst part about it, look at the debris that he has to drive through as he exits pit road. He'd been much better to have been on the racetrack, but he had to change the tire. Look at the debris that he had to drive through and maybe puncture another tire.
Yes, Benny, the last thing in the world he'd want to do is puncture another tire, but at least now if he does, it'll be under caution. He can come back in. I don't believe he lost a lap through all that either, did he?
No, he did not. He stayed on the lead lap. Bobby Hamilton is heading straight for the garage area. So a tough break for Bobby and also for his partner, Joe Ruttman. And look at the debris.
I think Randy, yeah, there's what I'm talking about, all the debris that's there. Now, a lot of that is mud and dirt and grass, but there are also some pieces of metal involved in it, and it's hard to pick out the metal from the mud. There we see some pieces of metal.
You can see the big chunk, but you're right. There's a lot of fragments down there that can, and it doesn't take much. Let's go back, take another look. What happened?
Oh, we see the Kurt Busch get turned around when Bobby Hamilton backed off. Joe Ruttman ran in the back of him. Now watch this. These trucks almost get by, but Randy Renfro just gets clipped.
That's Randy Tolsma and also Marty Houston wrapped up in that. Don't know how much damage they had on their trucks. Let's go on board with Bobby Hamilton.
We're going to see Kurt Busch get turned sideways. And here's Hamilton. Watch Renfro. About right here. Oh, man.
Kurt Busch in his first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race barely made it through and made a nice save. He's still on the race course. Oh, wow.
I thought Renfro was going in for in down the front stretch.
That truck came very close to going over, Benny. But one thing that is promising with all the spinning, that truck got up in the air from contact, but they are staying on the ground. And that was something that everybody wondered about aerodynamically when they started to spin around. Would the truck stay on the ground? And with all the spins that we've seen, they have.
Damage on the right front corner of Marty Houston's Spear Chevrolet. He's heading toward pit lane. The pits are still closed to all the other competitors on the racetrack. Stay with us. When we come back, we're under our third caution of the day.
Sorry to yell in your replay like that, but man, it was pretty spectacular. And I couldn't help myself. Why did Busch spin? Did he just jerk the car and spun? Did Biffle get in the back?
Looked like Biffle had a run and tapped him a little bit. Yeah. Kid made a good save.
He did. He held on to it well.
Lost some good trucks.
Hey, Jill.
Yeah.
Do we have Kurt's practice crash? I mean, he's had an eventful weekend so far. Do we have Kurt Busch's practice crash? He's had an eventful weekend.
Mike Wallace has to be a lap down. Mike Wallace.
No, sir. He's on the tail end of the lead lap.
Crash was behind him, Benny.
The crash was behind him. He got in, got out.
The crash was, he was sitting on pit road when they crashed. They were the leaders. Kurt Busch was running third when he wrecked, and Wallace was sitting on pit road.
But the yellow came out. They must have. They're listening to him.
So right all there. I can figure is that Busch and those trucks slowed down, and Wallace took off and passed them before the pace car picked him up or something.
Back at Daytona International Speedway, the inaugural running of the Daytona 250. We're under our third caution, and the 18 of Joe Ruttman's in the pits. Dave.
Marty, he just left, and this was after about 2 minutes in the pits. They put tape all over the front end, and that is going to be the only time that you're going to see tape on the front end of a truck here this weekend. NASCAR doesn't let them put any tape on there because of the 150-inch rule. Amy.
You'll also see tape on the front end of the 75 truck. They worked feverishly on the right front of Marty Houston's truck. A lot of sheet metal damage that they wanted to make sure was clear from any rub on that right front. But a lot of damage to the front of Marty Houston's number 75 Spears Chevrolet.
Marty back out, and I think he did manage to stay on the lead lap. He had such a great run going. And they got tangled up, and there you see Joe Ruttman and the damage on the front of his Dana Dodge. Whoa, that's a big hole up there.
Yeah, he's going to need to be running behind other trucks to keep that thing competitive. It's going to be tough for him. He'll be able to stay competitive if he stays behind, but it's going to be tough for him to lead like that.
Well, Joe Ruttman, one of 3 drivers in our field that has actually run here without restrictor plates. The others being Morgan Shepherd, who's already retired from the race, and Jeffrey Bodine. And he's back into the pits. Now there is Kurt Busch, and he made a nice recovery. And this young lad in his rookie season, Southwest Tour champion last year, he has had a very eventful week. And let's go back to first practice, BP. He got in somebody else's oil.
Yes, the 86 Mike Cope had an engine problem going down in turn 1, and Kurt Busch turns through it, and he gets in the oil and spins, and man, that thing snaps around and right in the wall. So that is the truck that he's using today, is their Homestead truck for next week. And he about wrecked it a moment ago.
And he had a tough time in qualifying, blew the motor, took a provisional, so he started in the back of the field and made the nice recovery after getting a slight tap, we think, from behind that sent him down into the grass infield area here at Daytona International Speedway. And right now, the number 99 shown in 3rd position, right behind his Killer Bee teammate, Greg Biffer.
He was running 2nd or 3rd when all this crashing started, so he didn't lose too much going down through the grass, did he, Ray?
No, he's doing a great job. You know, as a rookie, they make him drive in oil. Now they're making him drive on the grass, and he's keeping that truck up front.
All these trucks decided to pit now.
Pits are open. Terry Cook, the race leader, will bring it in. We've had a total of 7 different leaders, 14 lead changes. 55 miles an hour is the pit lane speed. I know it looks a lot slower when you're looking at home on screen. Remember, under caution, you can only change 2 tires. Dave, you're with Randy Tolsma.
Marty Tolsma got into Randy Renfro, or actually Bobby Hamilton, nowhere to go. Damage to the left side. They have been waiting for the pits to open. They finally have a chance to repair that left side damage, especially on the front end, and they're going to fuel it at the same time. No tires going on yet until they figure out how to get the nose of this Dodge back into place. Amy East.
Mike Wallace has hit his pit stall for now left side tires. They're going to take advantage of this yellow flag. They don't think they went a lap down, and the Ultra Bad Boys have given him fresh left side.
What a great break for Mike Wallace. He had cut up right in front, tire down, was slow around the racetrack. He comes back, he's on pit road when the caution flag came out for the big wreck. He doesn't lose a lap. He changed right sides. Now he's able to come back in. He has 4 fresh tires and on the lead lap.
There you can see Randy Tolles with SuperGuard Dodge. They're going to take it behind the wall. That front nose damage is a lot more serious, and they're going to have to do some work.
They need about 3 rolls of tape on that nose to try to hold it together, because they have broken the front piece, the nose piece, away from the fenders.
Well, while we're under our 3rd caution of the day, we'll pause for another commercial break here at Daytona International Speedway. Stay with us. Back right after this.
Well, I appreciate it. I was sworn he was sitting in the pits. Yeah, I was listening to you over there. Yeah. I knew. Well, I appreciate you straightening me out, Ned, before I made a complete idiot out of myself. This is pretty good stuff, isn't it?
We got 24, 25.
Steve Grissom was back up to 7th, but he pitted, so he's probably gone back a little bit further. But
yeah,
they've got the body work on that truck pretty straightened out.
Ned just mentioned they scale the windshields up to 1 lap now. It's simple racing.
Yeah.
We'd love to go.
All right, I'm ready. Okay, Marty Houston is off. Is that what I'm showing him?
I don't think so. He was sitting on pit road. I mean, when we went to break, he was sitting on pit road. I don't see him now.
Thank you. Flying high above Daytona today, the Bud 1 airship, traveling 365 days a year. Budweiser's aerial ambassador salutes NASCAR. Thanks, guys, for the great pictures. Look at that great crowd today. Coming up tonight, ESPN Classic's going to take you behind the wheel with a classic Daytona 500 race all weekend long. First up, Dale Jarrett's race to victory in 1993 at the Daytona 500. That's at 9 o'clock Eastern tonight. Set your alarm clock. 2 thrilling Daytona 500 races featuring Richard Petty, the King, at 8:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. If you don't have ESPN Classic, dial 1-800-CLASSIC and say, hey, we need this. We're race fans. Dave, you got up with Randy Tolsma?
Marty Tolsma's radiator sits here ready to go in. The oil cooler at the bottom, radiator on the top. Apparently now they're not going to put that in. Randy, is there not a hole in the radiator or what?
No, I think we got a tiny hole where, you know, they haven't told me yet what's going on, but sorry for the Sitco and Superguard people and, of course, Dodge. We had a great truck. I was just going to ride there till the last 25 and see what we had a shot for it, but might as well use everybody else's gas and conserve ours and conserve the truck throughout the run. So disappointing day, but long year ahead.
We thought you had it missed. What did you see?
Well, I saw Bobby spinning, and, you know, we haven't ran too many speedways, so I knew he'd probably go up high. My spotter told me to go low. Saw the smoke, and then another Dodge teammate there didn't slow up and hit us and knocked us into the run.
All right, we're racing, Marty.
Yes, we are. We're back to green flag racing. Jimmy Kitchen stayed out. He is the race leader right now. That's Kurt Busch and Greg Biffle right behind him. Jimmy Hensley was trying to get his lap back. It's not going to happen. Here comes the 60 on the outside trying to hook up into this draft as well. That's Andy Houston. And look at Steve Grissom in the 43. Despite the damage, he has moved himself into 5th.
And that's Kenny Martin in the 98 truck, the red truck in the lead draft, currently running in the 9th position.
Jimmy Kitchens in his first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race, still holding on to the lead. Look at the battle.
With Grissom's truck, they've been working on that every pit stop, getting that body a little bit better, a little bit better. Now he's got some help back there with Dennis Setzer and another Dodge. He might push him to the front.
Yeah, take a look at the damage from on board with Dennis Setzer.
Setzer having to back off the gas, getting down in the corner.
Biffle loose.
Biffle gets a big wiggle off turn 2.
Nice save by Greg. And that's enough to get your heart pounding.
And Jimmy Kitchens hanging on in that 42 truck.
I don't know for how long. Here comes Steve Grissom, and he's got Setzer as a drafting partner. We're on board with Biffle. Heading for the dry oval.
Here, Biffle have to back off as they close up on these trucks in front of them.
There you go. So much for all the money we spent on those Winston Cup bodies, man.
Exactly. This 43 truck, the Steve Grissom truck, beat all the pieces, and here he goes for the lead and takes it.
Guys, we have just tied a record, 17 lead changes. We still have 56 laps to go. I think I can guarantee we're going to break it.
And Mike Wallace now working his way back to the front. And Jimmy Kitchens pulls over right in front of him.
Kitchens drifts up a little higher. Can Wallace maintain the momentum? Don't think so. Lyndon Amick right behind him. This time by 55 laps to go. While all this action's going on out on the racetrack, the Dodge is trying to hook up and pull away. Another of the Dodge contingent is out of this race. Randy Renfro almost went upside down, Dave Burns.
That's right, Marty, and he said the doctor just told him he was about as normal as when he came in there. But, Randy, you almost had a wild ride. What was it like?
Well, I came off 4 and I saw smoke, and when I tried to go to the outside, but it was somebody out there, so I couldn't get up. And next thing I was trying to keep hitting him in the door.
Okay, and you almost went over. Did you see the grass?
I saw the grass and I smelled the grass, so I was pretty close. I'd like to thank Dodge, Todd Myers, all this TKO crowd. They've done a heck of a job. I was playing, buddy. I was playing waiting to the end. I don't want to sound too confident, but I was rolling back and forth and playing with the gas, just waiting to the end, because I could suck up good.
All right, Mike Wallace, Marty, sounds like he's sucking up good, too.
Has just moved back into the lead, so we've set a new record with 18 lead changes. We've tied the record almost. Well, wait a minute, we need one more. We have 10 different drivers that have led. The record is 11, set back in California in 1999 in that great race.
Lyndon Amick almost pulled up in front of Jimmy Kitchens, got turned right in the wall head on. Kitchens backed off just a little bit to allow Lyndon Amick to have that spot.
On board with Mike Wallace, our current leader. There's the top 5 at the Daytona 250. It could change before we come back. See you then.
Kenny Martin, what a job.
Whoa.
Oh, and Kitchens goes for a loop. Don't come off. Hang on, Jimmy. Turn left. Turn left. There you go. Now gas it. Caution's out.
Oh.
Carlos is saying that thing is excited out there today. Nervous. Very nervous.
So our fourth. Back at the Daytona 250, we are under caution once again, our 4th. We had a spin on the front straightaway by that man right there, Jimmy Kitchens. While we were away, there was another lead change. Steve Grissom is in front right now as we've gone to our 4th caution. Jimmy did a great job of keeping it off the wall, BP.
He did. He's right in the middle, the blue truck right in the middle. He goes up, makes contact with Lyndon Amick. And how in the world he spun through there and didn't hit any trucks is beyond me. But here's where he does a great job. The truck is spinning across. It looks like it's going to come across the racetrack, and it finally stops just before it does. And then Kitchens wisely turns it left, goes back out of harm's way.
And a lot of smoke coming from the Wegner Engines truck, and he's got that left front tire down, and he does have a little bit of damage. Carlos Contreras in the Hot Wheels Dodge, the 3rd member of the Impact team. He is a teammate of Randy Tolsma. Obviously, Randy having problems right now, as we just documented a few moments ago, and the hood is up, so obviously a problem.
Yeah, he came in the pits very slowly, and they raised the hood immediately.
And guys, what great racing this has been. As we said in the beginning of the show, this is the first race that has been run at Daytona Speedway in a long time without restrictor plates. They slowed the trucks down aerodynamically, and that's something that I know they're going to be taking a hard look at for the Winston Cup cars.
Well, and make no bones about it, everybody is watching this and saying, my goodness, as you see Jimmy Kitchens trying to limp on back around to pit lane with that flat left front. Everybody's looking at this as a potential solution to restrictor plate racing. I mean, aerodynamically, let's talk about what you could do to a Winston Cup car to get them to slow down and take those restrictor plates off.
Well, Marty, we've got to probably have to put bigger spoilers on them, wider fenders, run the cars in the same kind of configuration we would at a Charlotte or a Michigan. As Ned Jarrett said before, we need to stand the windshields up on those things like the old Fords and Chevys.
Let's go down to Dave Burns with Steve Grissom.
Here comes Grissom, Marty, and the big concern as they put on left side tires and make no chassis adjustments is the fuel fill. They had to come in and repair the dry brake. They put the hand up like it's working, so I guess it's okay now. Amy?
Greg Biffle's going to take on left side tires and hope that this will be enough for left side rear until the end of the race. The Ranger team's hoping to redeem themselves and take the championship lead here in the first race, the Daytona 250.
A great series of pit stops for all of our front-running contenders. We'll wait to sort it out once they get back in to line behind the pace truck. There is the damage still on that left rear, but boy, I'll tell you what, Steve Grissom, despite the bronchitis, remember, he can barely talk, and I'm sure the communication to the pits is not all that great, but when you're leading, you don't have to worry about talking too much. We're at the Daytona 250. Stay with us. Huh?
Get the 65 Ford Fairlane template.
Exactly.
Right. Right. Come on in here, Mike. Let's put you on the spot, brother. ISO, guys. I think, could he have taken the air off the spoiler?
We see it again?
Let's do it again. One more time, Mike.
Can you punch it into program? Because we can get on.
Okay, play.
No. Light there in the trioval, Benny.
It looks like he just got light in the trioval.
Would that be if he lifted, and would that destabilize just enough to between that and maybe taking the air off?
Sometimes the truck moving back and forth behind him like that, that wake that he moved over could have spun him out. Could have been the air.
What do you say, Ned?
'65 Ford Fairlane template. 65 Ford Fairlane.
Under our fourth caution of the day at Daytona 250 here at Daytona International Speedway, I'm Marty Reed along with Benny Parsons, Ray Evernham. Down in pit lane, it's Amy East and Dave Burns. And we're glad you're with us for the season opener here in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. It has been a thrilling race. We have already set a record of 20 lead changes. We have tied the number of leaders. We've had 11 different guys run at the front of this race. It's exactly what we were hoping. Let's get an update from the pits. Amy?
Well, the luckiest man so far in this race has got to be Mike Wallace. The caution flag saved them again. Mike radioed in and said he had a right rear going down. Just about that time, the yellow came out. They changed him, and Mike is back out in third position. Dave Burns.
Amy Dennis Setzer came in and changed left side tires, fueled the truck. They've been having a problem with the right rear, though. Twice today, the Mopar Dodge team has pulled a right rear off that was flat or actually had a puncture in it. So they're a little concerned right now as to why that might be happening or if it's just some kind of weird fate. As for Dennis, when they had the first right rear problem, the truck was very, very loose, and so they tightened him up on that first pit stop. I just spoke with Howard Comstock, his crew chief, to say, did you tighten him up too much, or was that adjustment staying all right on the one truck? He said, we're okay. We have another set of rights we're going to put on at the end, toward the end, we hope.
On board with Dennis Setzer, who's currently shown in 10th position. The man at the front of the pack stayed out during the last round of pit stops. Rob Morgan in the Axiom Ford. His best career finish, 5th last year at Topeka. The 26-year-old from Conway, Arkansas, grew up on the road courses. Going to pick up the 5 bonus points for leading a lap.
You know, these trucks have made a tremendous amount of pit stops, and we're only halfway.
I think, Benny, they're pitting because it's I don't want to say easy to move up through the field, but they can pass. Being stuck at the back of the pack doesn't seem to be a big penalty.
Let's take a look at our Dodge race recap. You can see 20 lead changes. That's a record. And cautions, we're in our 4th. The average speed so far, 124 and some change. There are the lap leaders. Mike Wallace has led the most so far. And you're going to see quite a few. There's 11. That ties the record. In fact, we've got one more lap leader, and that will be Morgan Shepherd. His number 7 Conley Chevrolet is behind the wall. Carlos Contreras is off track right now, as is his teammate Randy Tolsma. And out of the race, Bobby Hamilton, Randy Renfro, Morgan Shepherd, as we mentioned, Jack Sprague, Rick Crawford, and then Brian Reffner and David Starr. So that brings you up to date, and we're just about ready to go back to green flag racing here at Daytona International Speedway. Stay with us.
I wonder if the tire pressure has got to do with the flats, Benny.
Because he was not in contact, I'm sure that's what they're going to rule. He hammered the throttle.
By the way, Dave and Amy, my question, these cars only had 6 sets of tires to play with. Now, they must have used up a set or two in practice, and it looks like they've used 10 sets so far. I mean, how many sets of how many tires do they have left to change? So they've only changed three. They've only stopped 3 times. Okay. Okay. Thanks.
Well, no, wait a minute. It's our 4th caution. Okay. You mean the 12th truck?
Yeah.
12 is Contreras. Yep. Friday Night Fights. Stand by. Thank you.
Do we know what the minimum pressure is?
Yep. Without a doubt, the largest crowd ever to see a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. We are so glad that they have turned out a beautiful day here at Daytona International Speedway. Look at the size of this crowd, and they are seeing a great one, and so are you. And you're going to see some great fights coming up on ESPN2 Friday night, presented by Miller High Life, 9:30 Eastern from Bally's Park Palace in Atlantic City, New Jersey. This week's feature bout, 10-round lightweight between Angel Manfredi, Gary, Indiana, and Sean Fletcher from Virginia Beach. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. Back after this. All right, 99 is 7th, 15 is 8th. Drivers with Daytona. That's incorrect. It's not the 99.
Amy or Dave, you know what the
Kurt
minimum
Busch.
air pressure is? You got it? Sorry. We got it.
Where's the 18 right now?
As Amy, they
26.
They boosted the minimum on the rear tires so that they don't play with it and get that rear spoiler down out of the air. I mean,
what abnormal amount of flats today.
Yeah,
Haven't
really.
seen that all week.
I know, just amazing.
With that stiff spring.
Looks like we're getting ready to go green. We gonna make it? Okay, 46 is up front. For how long, we don't know. Just back to green flag racing here at Daytona. Rob Morgan was in front. He's been shuffled back to 4th. Steve Grissom took over the lead until just then. Here comes the shuffle one more time. The Team ASC Ford, Mike Wallace with Andy Houston.
And here comes Dennis Setzer down on the inside in that #1 Mopar Dodge. Goes by Lyndon Amick, moves into about the 5th or 6th spot.
Just back right in front of Kurt Busch. We're on board with Jeffrey Bodine. Circuit City telemetry.
We'll watch Jeffrey as he comes off the corner at 173 miles per hour and watch as he goes down the straightaway in this draft. Now the speed just accelerates. It gets faster and faster. And that's why you can slingshot, because you get, as Ray talked about at the very top of the show, that momentum and just drive you by that truck in front.
Did you notice just momentarily he hit that brake pedal?
It's a lot easier to just touch that brake than let off the gas to slow that truck down. Just staying up high going in the corner. He's not following the truck in front of him. Don't know what's going on there.
Whoa! Oh, look out! We got trouble. This is going to hurt.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my. Oh, my.
Yep.
Keep your fingers crossed.
And it was so good for so long, it turned into so bad so quickly.
We'll be back to see what happened. And as I said, keep your fingers crossed, folks. We're at Daytona.
Bodine.
Jeff. All right. Can you give us a replay so we can see? We may have spectators injured as well on the fencing.
They've torn the fence down, so we're going to fix that.
Yeah. Yeah, right down here. Joe, this is going to be a long one. Do a truck count, please. Okay.
Watch that back up, Ray.
Right there.
Kurt Busch.
Boom. It's
Yes,
Jeff.
Bodine.
We're back at Daytona International Speedway. We are under a red flag situation, and that truck that is upside down, we believe it to be the number 15 of Jeffrey Bodine. And this was a very serious crash.
And the race, as you see by the graphic, has in fact been red flagged because there's just too much attention has to be paid to these drivers involved, Jeffrey Bodine and all the debris on the racetrack. There's just no way to bring those cars down. So
we also have some damage to the fencing area. In fact, it's right in this part of the tri-oval coming into view now, right there at the bottom of your screen. So this is going to be an extended red flag, and we are keeping our fingers crossed for all the drivers. The trucks have been stopped back before. There you see them lined up right before they would come into pit in. Drivers are staying in the trucks right now.
That's Lonnie Rush's vehicle, the Hastings Fielder truck, being towed back to the garage area.
Now we do have confirmation that the truck that was upside down was Jeffrey Bodine's. No report yet on his condition, and we will keep you posted and keep our fingers crossed as we are under a red flag here at Daytona International Speedway. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
No.
That's where's There it is, Ray.
There's the motor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got some medical people down at that section of the track.
Man, it was so good, too. So good.
We're under a red flag condition here at Daytona International Speedway. We believe about 9 trucks were involved on the tri-oval incident that has brought out this red flag. The most serious involves Jeffrey Bodine. The truck literally came apart. The motor is about, oh, I'd say 250 feet from where the truck ended up on the infield grass, actually, towards turn number 1. We can tell you the 31 is being towed back to the pit area. That's John Young. Lyndon Amick's 52 Penda Truck Accessories truck is also on the hook. The 46 Axiom Ford is also involved in this and on the back of a flatbed being pulled out. And you can see the safety crews from high above working to take care of Jeff and get him out of the truck. We believe that they have gotten him out. We have no report yet on his injuries, and we will certainly not speculate or say anything.
You're right, Marty. The truck just completely disintegrated when it made contact with that outside wall. Very reminiscent of Richard Petty's crash here, 1988, as he came off turn 4, made some contact, got up in the fence, and was so violently crashing down the front straightaway. That's what this crash reminded me of.
Well, when we build these trucks and cars, Benny, as anything with NASCAR, safety comes first. And even though the truck came apart a good bit, the main roll cage stayed intact.
So as the safety crews continue to work on Jeffrey Bodine, we'll take another break, and we'll be right back to Daytona International Speedway. Can they?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, but I don't want to say, you know. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Dave or Amy, do you guys get any word from Bodine's pit?
Can you hear me right? The only thing we got across the scanner was that one of the crew members.
We'll get a number on that as soon as we possibly can to pass it along. But at least 9 machines involved. And again, our attention focused on the machine objective.
Well, the fencing crew has gotten here. Sorry.
There he is. He's back at Daytona International Speedway at the inaugural running of the Daytona 250. We are under a red flag situation after a 9-vehicle crash on the tri-oval involving Jeffrey Bodine, and the most serious element of the crash. We're waiting for word from medical officials and NASCAR officials on Jeffrey's condition. We will certainly not speculate. It was a horrific crash. Now, this is just a few seconds ago. There, look at Jeff. He's moving his arms. That is the best news we could give you. He's moving that bag, and so Jeffrey is alert, at least, and conscious and able to move. I don't know about you guys, but I'm breathing a little bit better right now.
Well, me too. That was a horrific looking wreck, but what a testament to the safety of these vehicles. Unbelievable, isn't it, Benny?
I'm telling you, folks, this is just about as bad a crash in a stock car as you'll ever see in your life. The truck just disintegrated, pieces going every place, but the roll cage stayed intact. Where the driver sits stayed intact and bounced across the racetrack.
Now, we want to show you just how much it came apart. That is the motor. And there is the place where it ended up. And then this is about 250 to 300 feet back to where what's left of the truck. Now, there was contact with the catch fence, and that is the damage that is there. We do not know if there are any injuries to any spectators in the stands.
But obviously, this fence will have to be repaired before NASCAR will allow these trucks to continue this race.
Meanwhile, all the other competitors, and you see another angle of the work being done on the catch fence in the tri-oval. The other competitors are stopped far from pit lane. No work allowed during a red flag situation. We're going to take another commercial break. We'll be back, and we'll try and get some more information. As soon as it is given to us, we'll pass it along to you here at Daytona. Yeah. And is there a weight? Hey guys, could you get us Back at Daytona International Speedway, we are under a red flag situation as we had a 10 truck crash now on the tri-oval. We've been able to confirm that. That is what is left of Jeffrey Bodine's Line-X Ford. And Ray, I have never seen a truck come apart that much, but look at the integrity of the cockpit area.
Well, that's one thing. NASCAR sends you rules. You have to build your NASCAR car or truck by those rules. And it's about 250 feet of round steel tubing that cage is made out of. And that's what you start with, the middle of that car. That's the most important part. With NASCAR racing, driver safety is first.
And the thickness of the metal, it also has to be a certain thickness. You just can't use thin wall tubing. It has to be a certain thickness, and the integrity has to be able to stand something like this. So thank goodness that they do send out those rules and make sure that these mechanics, like Ray Evernham, use that thick tubing.
We've built quite a few of those things, Benny.
Let's show you who was involved in this crash. Of course, we're keeping our attention on Jeffrey Bodine. Amy East and Dave Burns are checking on everybody else. John Young was involved, as was Rob Morgan, Lonnie Rush, Jamie McMurray, and then also Lyndon Amick, B.A. Wilson, Lance Norick, Jimmy Kitchens, and Jimmy Hensley. Now, how many of those guys will make it back? A lot of those trucks sustained heavy damage, none more so, though, than the 15 of Jeffrey Bodine. So 10 trucks, and the rest of them you see there under the red flag conditions cannot go to pit lane, cannot have any work performed on them, and I know what's going through their minds. Benny, you've been there. You know, they are thinking about one thing right now. Is Jeffrey and everybody else okay?
Jeffrey Bodine, and one thing certainly that this big crash like this will do, it will calm this race down for the last half of the race. We won't see the 3 wide and what have you until the last few laps. And again, when the checkered flag goes in the air, those drivers once again will be thinking of victory. They'll be smelling victory, and they'll be 3 wide. But at least for the next 40, 50 laps, this race will calm down a little bit.
But until the crash, I mean, the first 57 laps of this thing, it was spectacular. These guys were running really well.
And just 3 trucks wide in the tri-oval, a spot that it's very, very difficult to get through too wide, because that's one of the loosest points of the racetrack is a trial. 3 wide, some contact. And
is it because they forget that it's only 18 degrees of banking instead of 31?
No, it is. No, they don't forget that. But the why it's so loose, it is only 18 degrees of banking rather than the 31.
That's the motor from Jeffrey Bodine's truck on the back of the hook. We already, if you were with us during the last segment, showed you that it ended up about 300 feet from where Jeffrey stopped his seemingly endless roll. And we can tell you he did wave or was moving his arms as he was getting into the ambulance, as they carried him into the ambulance, if you're just tuning in. Dave, let's get an update on Jeffrey. What's the latest?
Well, Marty, right behind me, Glenn Johnson is just giving the information to the media here. He's the Director of Communications here at Daytona, and he tells us that Jeffrey was transported directly to Halifax Hospital, that he is semi-conscious, and that he is moving. He also mentioned that he has not said anything at this point, but that he is semi-conscious. So, first update on Jeffrey Bodine is very good news.
I'll tell you what, guys, looking at the number of rolls, my heart was stopping, and that is good news.
And Marty, that truck getting up in the air had nothing to do with the aerodynamics. That was just the force of that crash. The angle at the right front wheel of that truck actually got up in the air over the other truck. Right front wheel hit the fence, and that's what brought it up in the air. It wasn't an aerodynamic flip over.
Well, you had made that point earlier. We'd had several spins where even in the crash involving Renfro, where he got tagged on the infield grass section right coming out of turn 4, and that one was able to stay on the ground as well.
These trucks have seemed very stable all day. They've done a very good job regulating the aerodynamics.
Dave, you've got more from pit lane?
Lonnie Rush is here, guys, and he's giving the story right now. Lonnie, what did you see from your standpoint?
We were coming pretty hard into turn through the tri-oval, and the 46 car got turned sideways, and then there was so much smoke I couldn't see anything. I checked up, and everything turned loose.
Did you ever tap the brakes, or did you just let off the accelerator and hang on?
I was hitting brakes, trying to downshift everything I could do, and then it just started spinning. That's all I can tell you.
And how are you right now?
Oh, I'm fine. I just hope Jeff Bodine's okay. Everybody else in the infield care center seems to be awake and alert, and they're just getting their normal checkups.
Okay, that's a story from Lonnie Rush. He was involved in that melee, guys.
So a 10-truck collision here at the Daytona International Speedway has put us under a red flag situation. To recap for you, through the first 57 laps, it was a spectacular race. We had 11 different drivers leading. We had 21 lead changes, which is a record. And then it all came apart with this huge crash as we're under a red flag at Daytona International Speedway. Stay with us. We'll be back after this. I don't know why they want to be up against there. No, it looks like they're still working. I can't tell. Get.
When we come back, we'll at least go talk down to Linda Namick, and then I'll let you know where we're going. Okay, hang in there, guys. I'm sorry about this.
No, I haven't seen it. Back at Daytona International Speedway, where we are under a red flag condition after a 10-truck crash on the tri-oval. here at the 2.5-mile Daytona International Speedway on lap number 57. The most serious injury was to Jeffrey Bodine, but as you heard Dave Burns report, he was reported from NASCAR officials as semi-conscious on his way to Halifax, but we did see him move. Let's go back down to Dave Burns.
Yeah, Marty, I've caught up with Lyndon Amick now, and Lyndon had a very fast truck out there, but everything broke loose. What happened?
Yeah, I had a run and was down the inside, and felt like I got hit in the right rear. Of course, I hadn't seen the replay, but you know, once I got turned, and I think everybody checked up, and there was a big wreck. I got spun around and saw Bodine flipping, and then got hit again and went down to the inside, and that was kind of the end of my ride. But it's really tough out there. You know, these trucks really suck up fast. You really got to use your head and use hand signals and stuff. So it's a tough situation. I need to thank Penda, my sponsor, and Ken Schrader for giving me the opportunity, and obviously good Lord for keeping me safe. I'll be back to race again. That's the main thing.
So when you got tapped from behind, right then there was clear racetrack, nothing going on in front of you. It pretty much precipitated from you getting knocked in the back end?
That's what I remember. You know, I just remember getting hit, and then I was trying to catch it, and I went straight into the wall, and then I got hit a couple times and turned around, and I don't know what happened above me or around me. I just know that I got hit. I felt like I got hit in the rear.
All right, doctors let you go. How do you feel?
Well, I'm real sore. I got some nice marks on my neck, but I'll take that any day to come back and race here.
All right, Lyndon Amick will be back another day, guys.
Well, he certainly will. In fact, he's been one of the busiest drivers here. He ran the Motorola Cup back during the Rolex 24 and the ARCA race and the truck race and the Busch race.
Well, he actually is not going to race in the Busch race because he failed to qualify. But that's probably a good thing because he'd be so sore that he probably will not feel like racing tomorrow in the Napa 300.
I'll tell you what, like he said, you take those bruises on your shoulder. That means the belts have done their job. Dave, you've caught up with Rob Morgan?
Yeah, Marty, and Rob is another guy who was up at the front of this thing. Clear track in front of you. What happened?
I think we were 3 wide through the tri-oval, and I got tapped in the rear, and I think went up into Lyndon. I'm not sure. Got into him, and then came back across the track, and I guess it was just a chain reaction after that.
I mean, did you have a chance to even step on any pedals or even do anything, or just grab steering wheel and hang on?
No, it was just grab your steering wheel. I mean, it got tapped, set the truck sideways, and I was along for the ride.
What do you think about, I mean, the way that you were driving 3 wide through the tri-oval? Were the trucks stable, and was it just a matter of getting a bit squirrely, or what?
I think at that point in time, it wasn't a smart thing to do. I think there's no reason we should have been 3 wide, and I don't really know how it all unfolded. I sure as heck didn't want to be in the middle. I know that. I don't know. I mean, the trucks they're stable, but when you do things that maybe you shouldn't be doing, you're going to get caught up in something like that.
Well, let me ask you this. The way that they suck up in the draft, is it just too tough not to go out and pass somebody and to make it 3 wide? I mean, is it really tough to tell yourself to check up and not make that pass?
I think it's just one of those things you got to have patience. I mean, you had like 30 laps, 40 laps left, and still a long race, and a lot of time left. And as well as these trucks draft and pull up on somebody, I mean, do it on the back straightaway. There's no reason to be going 3 wide. I don't know.
Okay, guys, maybe a better place to race the trucks in terms of really racing them than on the front straightaway in the tri-oval.
Well, it's a hard lesson that everybody that comes to Daytona has to learn today in this 36 truck field, and I guarantee you they will not repeat that for all those guys that were out there. Now, we are going to come back and as soon as we can, but we're going to be going to Winston Cup. Before they go green, we will update you on what has happened here when we get back. Okay.
Let's see.
Jill, I've got someone sitting right next to you in the comfortable you can find that. Maybe the one person to find out anything about the fan. So I've got someone sitting tight there. So he's in the press room, but the race control isn't helping right now.
Here we go, Ray. Here we go. Back it up one more time. Back it up one more time. Start over. That was Lonnie Rush that knocked the engine out, wasn't it? Okay, back her up again, Mike. All right, here we go. Let's see. Lyndon's on the apron, right? And that's Morgan's up on the outside. Who's that in the middle? Play it. Easy. Play it up. Play it. Play it a little bit, Mike. Okay. Go ahead. I think maybe that's the 31 truck. No. We need to determine who the white truck is that Lyndon Amick is. Go ahead, play it. Kurt Busch. Okay. All right. Yeah, that would be. Wow.
I'm back on headset. Yeah, I'm fine. You know, just keep talking to me. Well, I'm still worried about a couple. I'm worried. Okay. All right. At all? Okay. Seven, 8, 9, 10, 11. It rolls 11 times and goes end over end 3. That's incredible. You and me both, buddy.
One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, well, we don't have our coats on, so we'll get them while he's doing the interviews. We'll get him while he's doing the interviews. We'll need to get those chairs out of there. Yeah, we don't have Benny yet. Okay. Okay. We're back at Daytona International Speedway for the inaugural running of the Daytona 250. We're under a red flag situation after a 10-truck collision on the tri-oval, and they're working on the catch fencing right now. We can tell you that Jeffrey Bodine has been transported to Halifax Medical Center. You can see the damage there on the guardrail section that is being replaced. Dave Burns has caught up with B.A. Wilson, I believe. Dave, you got him?
Yeah, Marty, we talked to guys who were at the front of the pack, and Jimmy Hensley, who was coming from a restart, got involved as well. Lyndon Amick, you were kind of in the middle of all this. Who were you racing with at that time?
Well, B.A. Wilson.
I'm sorry. I'm looking at you, B.A., and I'm not saying your name right, but where were you in the pack at that time?
You know, I was pretty much in the middle of it there. I don't know what actually caused the wreck at first, but I seen the 46 come back across the racetrack and a kind of a fireball, and then a tire and wheel hit me right in the windshield, and I guess it might have been off the 15, and as I kind of went by, I was still going pretty fast as I went by. The 15 was up in the air, you know, right beside me and all that, and I know it's a bad wreck. We just hope everybody's okay. I'm okay, and we tore up a truck, but just glad to get out okay.
So, I mean, you belt strap sores or anything like that, or you okay all over?
No, actually, I just hit stuff pretty straight with the truck. It just kind of, nothing real hard, so I'm just real happy. I just hope everybody else will get out. We were having a pretty decent run. It just ended in a bad day for everybody.
What in the world is it like to have a tire come at the windshield like that?
You know, you don't have time to think about it, but actually I thought it was fixing to come in. It rolled the windshield back pretty far in the A-post, but I think what it ended up getting was the vent bar that comes up there, the roof bar, to hold it from coming out of there, or it might have been a bad day.
And you guys talked about the safety of the cage, and B.A. Wilson knows firsthand.
All right, thanks, Dave. And it's good to see these guys coming out one by one and reporting that they are okay, and that the worst injury that they have is the bruises from the restraints that hold them into the cockpit of the race truck. And we've talked about the integrity of that cockpit, and now Dave has caught up with another of the drivers that's just been released, Jimmy Hensley.
And I'm with Jimmy Hensley now. And Jimmy, where were you? Who were you racing with when this whole thing started?
Well, actually, it was on a restart, and they put me at the rear of the field. I thought I got my lap back, you know, when we raced back to the caution, but NASCAR didn't think I did. So anyway, they put me at the longest line. And I kind of was up against the wall, you know, had momentum going, and was clicking off some trucks there, and all the melee started.
Could you see it?
Well, I could see smoke and stuff flying through the air, but I mean, the chance of me stopping was pretty slim. So we just kind of bounced off some things and went on, got on through really, you know, and just rolled down the infield and stopped. Okay. But we okay. I mean, not, you know, I'm not hurt. Hope all the other guys is okay.
Jimmy Hensley's okay, guys.
Well, let's give you the update once again in case you're just tuning in. Jeffrey Bodine is the most seriously injured of the drivers. He has been transported to Halifax Medical Center. The official report from NASCAR is that he was semi-conscious. We did see him move his arms as they were loading him into the ambulance and on his way to the medical center. BP, it was just a horrific crash. We're going to keep our thoughts and prayers with Jeffrey, but it also, we're waiting to see if there was any of the spectators that may have been injured as well with the flying debris, and so far no report on that we want to emphasize.
Well, there's been no report of anyone injured other than Jeffrey Bodine. And, you know, we keep talking about that we're going to see a race like it used to be, you know, drafting like it used to be, and crashes like we just saw. Folks, that's the way it used to be. We talked about Richard Petty in 1988, come off turn 4, and there must have been 10, 12 cars involved in that. That was on Daytona 500. I know because I was involved in that crash, run across some debris and knocked my car out of the race. But, you know, what we're seeing today is like it used to be.
But Ray, you mentioned it. This was not something that, it was caused by the contact. It was not something that was, you know, a speed issue per se.
No, it was not aerodynamic. You know, the truck hit the other truck, it went up in the air, got on top of the fence. We've seen accidents like that before, but thank God they've got those big steel cables.
Let's get down to Dave Burns. Dave?
And Glenn Johnston's going to tell us now the update on Jeffrey.
Just to give you an update on Jeffrey Bodine, as we said earlier, he was transported directly. He was awake, alert, and talking as he got to Halifax Medical Center. It is apparent that he has probable, at this point in time, ankle injuries and one wrist injury. At this point in time, that's all the information we have. I will continue to provide you with updates, but he is awake and alert at the hospital.
Glenn, do you have any information at all on the situation in the grandstands at this point?
I do not. They're trying to check on that for me right now, and we should have something very shortly on that one.
They didn't transport to the hospital directly, or?
I think there has been a couple transported, but I'm not sure of numbers and or seriousness of injuries at this time, but I will get that information and get it back to everybody very shortly.
Thanks, Glenn. Guys?
All right, so the very good news involving Jeffrey Bodine, guys, is now we're talking only about ankle injuries and a wrist injury, and he's alert and conscious.
And talking. That is fantastic news.
It's unbelievable, and again, a true testament to the way that these guys build those trucks.
And we'll keep our fingers crossed. You heard the NASCAR official talk about the possibility of a couple of spectators being transported. We do not have that confirmed as far as what injuries may have happened through the collision that occurred right here on the tri-oval at lap 57. So with that update, we're going to send you back as the repairs continue here at Daytona International Speedway to NASCAR Winston Cup before they go green. Okay.
Neil said he was alert and talking. Wow. That's big.
Repairs continue at Daytona International Speedway on the catch fencing in the tri-oval after the 10-truck collision that brought out a red flag situation. If you are just tuning in, it happened on lap 57. Jeffrey Bodine is the only one right now reported to have any injuries of consequence from the drivers involved. He has been transported to Halifax Medical Center with apparently two ankle injuries and a wrist injury, but he was alert and conscious by the time he reached the hospital. So that is very good because the truck rolled 11 times and flipped 3 more besides that. We'll update you more from Daytona as soon as we get more. Meanwhile, we go back to Winston Cup before they go green. Back at Daytona International Speedway, the inaugural running of the Daytona 250 is now well over into an hour delay, a red flag situation, a 10-truck pileup on the tri-oval, and the most serious injury that we know of is to Jeffrey Bodine. More on Jeffrey in a moment. You're seeing the repairs done on the catch fencing. The reason we are not showing any replays and will not is until we are confirmed through NASCAR and medical officials that no spectators have been injured out of respect to their families. We're not going to show that again, and some people have called in wanting to see it, but that's our reasoning, folks, and hope you can understand and bear with us on that. This sport is sometimes a little bit rough, and these folks down there are doing the best they can, and as soon as we get the update, we will pass it along. Now, here is the latest news on Jeffrey Bodine. We've had contact with the doctors and the family at the hospital. He has a fractured right cheekbone beneath the right eye. His vision is okay. He's alert and conscious. He also has a fractured right wrist, a fractured right elbow, a fractured right big toe. Brothers Brett and Todd and the family are with him, and he is alert and conscious. The truck rolled 11 times, flipped end over end, a minimum of 3, and that is an incredible update, guys, considering what he went through. Let's go down to Dave Burns with John Young.
Yeah, Marty, John is standing by, and he is okay. Now, you came at this thing from the back after it already started. Tell us what, between your truck owner, Bob Brevac, who's your spotter, and you looking ahead, how did you try to make it through?
Well, you know, there's trucks high, trucks low, trucks in the middle. There's so much smoke that there really wasn't much to, you know, you couldn't really tell where to go. I mean, I saw a truck rolling up near on the high line, so I figured, and trucks coming into that wreck as well, so I figured my best chance was going down low. I had a bit of an opening, almost made it through, but then some trucks that had gone low and hit the inside wall came back up and clipped me and spun me around, got hit a few more times by some more trucks coming into it, and eventually wound up in the wall.
Okay, now behind me, they're going to start working on his truck as soon as the red flag is lifted. Obviously, they can't do anything right now. Quick update from Glenn Johnston, the Director of Communications here at DIS.
he came out and told us that Jimmy Kitchens had been transported from the on-track medical center to Halifax, that he is simply being checked over. So he's okay, but they wanted to do a thorough checkup at the hospital. And Marty, as you mentioned at this time, Glenn also said he has no information on spectators at this time and that he would update us as soon as he can.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Appreciate the update. Glad that John Young is fine, as well as most of the other drivers. Again, it is alert and conscious and doing okay for Jeffrey Bodine. We're going to return, but now we'll go back to Winston Cup and before they go green. Back at Daytona International Speedway, where our red flag situation now on the Daytona 250 has gone past the 1 hour mark. You can see the work continues on the tri-oval and the catch fence under repair. A 10-truck accident occurred a little past 12:30 Eastern Time. Of course, it involved Jeffrey Bodine. If you're just tuning in, we have completed 56 laps. Jeffrey was taken to Halifax Medical Center. The truck rolled 11 times, went end over end a minimum of 3 times. It completely came apart. We were holding our breath until we got official word from Glenn Johnson, who was the Director of Communications from Daytona International Speedway.
An update on Jeffrey Bodine. As we said earlier, he was transported directly. He was awake, alert, and talking as he got to Halifax Medical Center. It is apparent that he has probable, at this point in time, ankle injuries and 1 wrist injury. At this point in time, that's all the information we have. I will continue to provide you with updates, but he is awake and alert at the hospital.
Do you have any information at all on the situation in the grandstands at this point?
I do not. They're trying to check on that for me right now, and we should have something very shortly on that one.
They didn't transport to the hospital directly, or?
I think there has been a couple transported, but I'm not sure of numbers and or seriousness of injuries at this time, but I will get that information and get it back to everybody very shortly.
Now, we have not been able to confirm any injuries regarding spectators or how many may have been transported. That is why we have not shown any replays of this crash out of respect to their families. We can update you. It was a fractured right cheekbone from sources at the hospital, but he is alert and conscious. Jeffrey Bodine doing well. We'll be back with more, but let's go back to Winston Cup before they go green. Back at Daytona International Speedway, Marty Reed with you as we are in the 1 hour and 10 minutes segment of our red flag situation for the 10-truck pileup on the tri-oval here at the Speedway. We can tell you that Jeffrey Bodine is alert and conscious after this severe crash. He has a fractured right cheekbone from sources at the hospital. His vision is okay. He also has a fractured right wrist, right elbow, and right big toe. Brothers Brett and Todd are with them, and he is doing well. We still have no report on injuries to any possible spectators. The work continues. We'll update you. Let's go back now to Winston Cup before they go green. Back at Daytona International Speedway, our red flag situation is now into its 1 hour and 16-minute mark. The work continues on the catch fencing. We've updated you on Jeffrey Bodine. We now have our first report on spectators who were injured. Let's go down to Dave Burns.
And Marty, again, I'm standing by with Glenn Johnston, Director of Communications here at Daytona. And Glenn, what is the update on the fans? How many were transported and what are their injuries?
Dave, at this point in time, we've been very fortunate on this with the fans. We've only had 5 fans that were transported over. 1, as reported earlier, had a facial laceration. 1 had an injury to the elbow. The other 3 fans that we didn't have information on, we now have. 1 has a bruised lip. 1 has a slight head injury, and the other one has a bruised forearm. So with those kind of injuries, we feel very fortunate. There's nothing serious out there. They've all been checked out and actually released from Halifax at this point in time.
So at this point, it sounds like a determination will be made to restart this race?
At this point in time, I believe they're buckling up gates and getting ready to go back to racing.
Okay, guys, that's it from down here. Really good news from Halifax.
Absolutely. Thank you, Glenn. That's the best news. I mean, when we think back on this and to think that 5 minor injuries to the spectators and this huge crash involving Jeffrey Bodine, where he rolls the truck at least 11 times, goes end over end at least 3 more times, and he is alert and conscious, has some injuries, but far, far better than we ever anticipated. Now, with the knowledge that the spectators' injuries are minor and the work continues, we will go back and we'll show you what happened first from the blimp. Benny?
Okay, there we see on the about the 6th car back, Lyndon Amick on the bottom of the racetrack. That's Kurt Busch in the middle. Busch and the 46 of Rob Morgan make contact. Morgan goes up and hits Jeffrey Bodine
He gets in the fence, and there Jeffrey goes down the racetrack, and that's the 27 of Lonnie Rush there that comes along and hits Jeffrey Bodine. I do believe that was Lonnie Rush. No, maybe not. That might have been the 90 car of Lance Norrick that came along and hit Jeffrey Bodine.
This is real time.
Yeah, that definitely was the 90 car of Lance Norrick that ran into the Jeffrey Bodine car.
Benny, that was just an amazing crash, but it's also amazing that he was okay. And it just goes to show you all of the safety equipment has done its job. The NASCAR mandated roll cage did its job. The fire equipment that Jeff Bodine was wearing did its job. And the great safety fence, the catch fence that they have here, did stop the big pieces from going into the grandstand.
Amy has caught up with Todd Bodine. Amy?
Thanks, Marty. And the best advice and update you can get is from a family member. How is your brother Jeffrey?
Well, the good news is he's going to be okay. He's got some healing to do, but as far as, the main thing in a crash, any crash, especially one as violent as that, is you worry about head injury. And he's going to be fine. He's conscious, alert, talking to the doctors. We didn't get in to see him, but he is conscious and alert, talking. As far as they know right now, there is no head injury at all. He's got some broken bones. It's going to take some time for those to heal. Fractured cheekbone, elbow. We think both his ankles might be fractured and a toe. He's got some broken bones, and they're still looking him over. Things. The good news is he's going to be fine, and the bad news is he's probably going to have to sit out a while. But we can take some broken bones and stuff. That stuff can heal. It's the head you worry about, and right now it looks fine.
Todd, do you know how soon you will be able to see him?
Well, I got happy hour coming up in the Busch car, and I'm going to get right back over after that. Brett and Diane and my wife are over there. Angela's there. We got a lot of friends over there waiting to make sure everything's fine. But the main thing is I wanted to get over here and tell you guys and tell everybody at home he's going to be fine. His head's normal. As normal as it can get, that is. But he's going to be okay.
We're glad to see you smiling. Our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family as you guys work through this. It sounds like it's great, and good luck to you. Keep your focus. You do have happy hour coming up soon.
Yeah, that's the hard part about this whole thing. You see something like that as a race driver, the violence of that crash. As any race driver, you're concerned and worried, and it gets to you a little bit. And then to have it to be a family member, it really works on you. But I got a job to do. Phillips 66, my sponsor expects it. We got a great race car, and just got to go out in happy hour, put it out of my mind, and go race the race tomorrow, and try to have one good race for the Bodines this weekend.
Okay, thanks for talking with us, Todd.
Thank you, Amy.
All right, that was from Todd Bodine, and as we have reconfirmed over and over, there is a smile on his face. His brother's going to be okay.
Thank you, Amy. And let's also pass on the word. Jimmy Kitchens was transported to Halifax, but that was for precautionary measures only. BP, you've got a brother who's racing. You know what this is like, how the focus he was talking about. How does everybody get back into gear here?
You just have to do it. That's like being in a race. We have about 20 trucks sitting down in turn 4, and in, 10 or 15, there's those trucks sitting down there. They're going to throw the green flag, and now these guys got to go out and determine who's going to win the race. So you just simply have to put it out of your mind and continue on with the job at hand.
Let's also update you once again in case you are tuning in for the first time. We did have 5 spectators injured slightly. They were transported, and as we reported, they have been released. 1 facial laceration, a fractured left arm, and 1 with a bruised lip, 1 with a slight head injury, and 1 with an injured forearm. No names were released, but everybody is going to be okay. And as you see from that incredible crash, that's the best news that we could give you today. We'll be back. Let's go back to Winston Cup before they go green. Thanks for sticking with us. Still under a red flag condition at Daytona, at the Daytona 250, an hour and 20 minutes now on the clock and running. We can tell you that the 5 spectators that were slightly injured have been treated and released at the Halifax Medical Center. Also, if you were with us just a few moments ago, Todd Bodine updated us saying his brother is alert, conscious, has some fractures, but is going to be okay. It was a very, very serious crash. The work continues and is almost completed on the catch fencing down on the tri-oval. Now, the drivers have been instructed by NASCAR officials to report back to their trucks. you can see that the work is almost completed. So we will be getting back to green flag racing here at Daytona in the not too distant future. Let's go back to Winston Cup before they go green. Stay with us. Back at Daytona International Speedway, we are still under our red flag situation. Marty Reed along with Ray Evernham, Benny Parsons, and Amy East and Dave Burns down in pit lane. About an hour and 25 minutes now into this red flag. And the work continues right there on the tri-oval. That's what we're waiting for. The good news, in case you are just tuning in, a 10-truck pileup, which was not the good news. The good news was it was very serious. We had 5 spectators that were transported to Halifax. They were treated and released, all with minor injuries. The most severe injury was to Jeffrey Bodine. He rolled several times, has some fractures of his cheekbone, his right wrist, his right elbow, possible ankle fractures, but he is alert and conscious and doing well at the hospital. Jimmy Kitchens was also transported for a precautionary move. He is going to be okay as well. So the good news here is that we will be going back to green flag racing. Right now, we'll go back to Winston Cup before they go green. It is now up to an hour and 41 minutes. The work continues. In fact, you can hear the pounding going on the catch fence in the tri-oval after a huge 10-truck pileup stopped this race in its tracks at lap 56. 10 trucks involved, the worst being Jeffrey Bodine. He flipped and rolled endlessly, it seemed. He has been taken to Halifax Medical Center. His injuries include a fractured right cheekbone beneath the right eye. His vision is okay. He has a fractured right wrist, right elbow, right big toe, possible ankle fractures as well. But Todd Bodine was with us here at the track, told our Dave Burns that he was alert, he was conscious, and that, yeah, it's going to take some time to heal, but he is going to be okay. Jimmy Kitchens was also transported as a precautionary move. He was alert and conscious at the time, and we're waiting for a further update there, but it was just for precautions. 5 spectators were transported, but they were all treated and released, and that's the best news that we can pass along on that viewpoint as well. Let's go down to Amy East. I think she's caught up with Tim Cahuth.
That's correct, and Tim Cahuth is the crew chief for Mike Wallace, who is currently leading this race. I understand the drivers have been called back to their trucks, and we're getting ready to go green here shortly. What kind of strategy are you guys going to have for the end of the race? I understand NASCAR is going to allow you guys to come down and take on 4 fresh tires. Whether or not you'll do that or not, and kind of what your plans are for the rest of this race.
Well, right now, you don't have to take the 4 tires if you don't want to. We're going to go ahead and put them on. We don't have any idea what kind of debris he could have driven through. Our truck's pretty good today. We're going to come in, put 4 fresh tires on it, top it off with fuel, and then we just have to make one more stop, probably around lap 75.
I saw Mike walk his way down here and talk to you during this long break, and you guys are leading right now, but there's been 21 lead changes throughout this race so far. What do you tell your driver on a last lap situation what to do?
Well, we talked a little bit about that. We're just going to see who's the strong trucks out there and who we want to be around right near the end. When we go back to green here, we got the halfway money. I guess we still haven't gotten to that yet, and we'd like to take that home with us also, so we have to be thinking about that also.
All right, well, a lot of strategies are going to play in towards the end of this race. Tim Cahuth, he wants to take home the halfway money and a big victory lane check. Good luck, Timmy.
Thank you very much.
All right, down to Dave Burns.
And Amy, when you're working strategy, you like to have a lot of tools at your disposal, and Fred Wanke just told me that for the 43 truck, he can do anything he wants. Now, we've heard the 4 tires can be yours if you want them. You don't have to take them. You can pit if you want. You don't have to. What are you guys going to do?
Well, Dave, I think this time, instead of doing like we did at Louisville when you told me not to pit because it was going to rain, I think we're going to pit this time and put 4 tires on.
I never told you it was going to rain. Well, you fans remember, I had no weather report for Fred at that time. But today, no threat of rain whatsoever. You guys are going to come in and pit. Are you going to take the 4 tires that NASCAR is giving you, or are you going to use ones that are already in your possession?
I didn't know NASCAR was giving me 4 more. I'm under the impression that we have to use what's in the pits.
Okay, let's talk about the truck. It's been beat up out there today. Is it running aerodynamically the way that Steve wants it to at this point?
So far, the Dodge Buffetti is running real good. He's happy with it. He said it was good at the beginning. We tried to knock all the fenders off of it, and so far they're still on. The guys in the motor room have given us a real good motor. They've worked hard this winter. We built a truck especially for here. The guys in the shop, we've been to the wind tunnel, and we've been testing, and we've just worked really hard. And we've worked hard on pit stops and had real good stops today. So, other than ready to get back to racing, we're ready.
And have you and Steve talked about where you want your truck to be on the final lap if you're in the hunt?
Don't have to talk to him about that. He knows how to do it here.
What will he do? Will he be first, or will he go back in line?
I haven't even asked him. I just said, you know what to do here? And he says, yep. And because I don't know what he's going to do.
All right, Fred waits to see, as we will, what Steve Grissom and the rest of them will do when this thing comes down to the checkered, guys.
Steve Grissom currently in the 3rd position. And take a look at this. During the red flag, the drivers are going over, and this is live right here at Daytona International Speedway. They're going over and signing autographs for the fans that have have not left at all. And you can hear the cheers in the background as there's Steve Grissom. Now, Grissom, remember, he's running this race, BP, with bronchitis, can hardly talk.
Yes, and we saw 5 of the drivers over signing autographs. What the heck, I guess they need something to do as well.
And it's great that they're participating with the fans like that. The fans have been great. We've had a delay, I guess, now of about an hour and 40 minutes.
Yeah, we're, in fact, past that mark. And now that we know that everybody is A-OK and going to make recoveries, we're going to take you through the complete sequence of what happened in this 10-truck pileup, starting with the blimp.
And there about the 6th place, we see Lyndon Amick in the green truck. He goes down. Kurt Busch makes contact with the 46, and along comes Jeffrey Bodine and climbs an outside retaining wall, and down the racetrack he goes. Now here comes the 90. Another replay. Watch this and listen. Let's check Jeffrey Bodine's onboard camera, the Linux onboard, and listen. And away it goes. One more angle.
And then as you can see, when that truck goes up in the catch fence, that's what starts it tumbling. And watch as the motor will go across the racetrack. There goes the motor tumbling down along the racetrack.
Well, look how high Jeffrey Bodine is. And right here along comes the 90. No, they stop him there. And there is just absolutely nothing. And watch as they take Jeffrey out, and he tries to take the mask off as they're taken to the ambulance.
And that was the first indication that he was conscious. And as we said, he is alert and conscious, has several fractures. It's going to be a long healing process, I'm sure, and he's going to be in a lot of pain. But, boy, the best news is he's going to be okay. And now that you have seen that, it is absolutely incredible that his injuries are that minor, comparatively speaking. So as the work continues on the catch fence down at the trioval, and we're told it's just a matter of minutes before that is back into place, the drivers continue to sign the autographs with the fans, and Amy has caught up with Rick Wren.
Thanks, Marty. Rick Wren is the crew chief, of course, for Andy Houston, who is currently running in the 2nd position. We had an interesting conversation here before we came on the air, and I'd like to maybe tell some of the viewers what we were talking about. The truck has been sitting and cooling down. Obviously, some concerns for you on this restart.
Yeah, it's what's bad is, you know, for the race fans need to understand, it's real important that the oil temperature is way up above 170 degrees in these trucks, or it's easy to hurt a bearing. And when a truck sits this long, we have heaters in our oil tanks, and we normally keep them plugged in when they set for an extended period of time. Right now, our oil temperature is cooled down. So now he's got to be careful when he starts it up. Don't rev the engine up too much too soon, because it really could hurt the camshaft. It could hurt the rod bearings. It's really a touchy situation. You have to be thinking about all the aspects of cooling down.
Well, we have several laps to go here, and we know NASCAR's going to let you guys take on 4 fresh tires, but obviously some tire concern, too. Not very many tires left for the end of this race.
No, NASCAR's going to let us take 4 tires if we want, but they're not going to allow us to go purchase 4 more tires. But we've already changed tires 3 times because of all the debris on the racetrack from the accidents. And right now, I'm going to tell you what, it's not a good time to be running out of tires with 44 laps left to go.
All right, well, Rick Wren's going to try to figure out the best strategy for the 60 truck. His driver, Andy Houston, is now standing by with Dave.
That's almost Andy Houston. This is the fans that Andy's signing for down here. And you guys came out of your trucks. It's over an hour ago now. I mean, it's really, it's been a long time. Can you get pumped back up to get out there and finish this thing?
Oh, most definitely. You know, being an inaugural event here at Daytona, our Cat Rental Store Chevrolet is running really good. And, you know, all these wonderful fans here, they sit here and they sit here calmly and wait for this red flag to get over. And, you know, at least we can do is come out here and sign some autographs for them. But I hope they really be cheering here after a while. And that number 60 sitting over there in victory lane. And we got a good truck. Wallace is good. Grissom's good. I mean, there's 4 or 5 still that's really good. And it's not going to be easy, but I feel like we've got a good shot at it.
Can you run with Mike Wallace one-on-one?
Yeah, running with him and staying with him is not a problem at all. It's being able to pull out and pass. And, you know, I think I'd have to lay back a little bit and maybe make a run at him. And I think that's the way it's going to be for anybody. But, you know, we're just going to try to ride here for a little bit and get down towards the end of this race and really size them up and see what we got.
So if you're leading on, like, lap 98, are you going to find something to go terribly wrong with your truck and drop back a few positions?
Well, I don't know that I'd fall back a few positions. I would like to, you know, you can let off a little bit, and without having a restrictor plate, you're able to pick back up and keep going and build a little momentum. But, you know, that's just what we're going to try to do.
All right, that's Andy Houston, guys.
Currently shown second when we restart this red flag period that is now 1 hour and 51 minutes. Let's go one more time, Ray, Benny, analyze, and try and find out where it all went wrong.
I would see Lyndon Amick on the bottom of the racetrack. Kurt Busch has to go up the racetrack just a little bit, and about that time, the 46 starts to turn to go through the trouble and just turns in to the 99 of Busch. And when he turns him around, here comes Jeffrey Bodine with no place to go.
That sends Jeff's truck into the catch fence. It starts it tumbling over. It goes over and over and over. Right here, we think Lonnie Rush hits it, gets it tumbling the other way, actually tears the motor and everything out of it. The truck continues to tumble on down into the tri-oval.
And there the engine goes bounding down in the infield grass.
Let's go down to Dave with our race leader, Mike Wallace.
Mike, you're leading right now. You've been the man to beat all weekend long. Do you want to be in front or do you want to be third at the last lap?
I don't really know what I want to be. You know, I would, it'd really be nice to be leading the thing and the guys running second and third get to fighting and give me some space. Problem is, you know, if you're by yourself and you get kind of a run off the corner, my truck's handling really, really good. If those guys can gang up on you, you know, you get 4 or 5 truck lanes ahead of them, and then they come by sailing by you. But, yeah, it's a real disappointment for that wreck. I'm glad to hear Jeffrey Bodine's going to be okay. You know, it's a shame for what caused the wreck, really. But, you know, the truck race, I thought up to that point has been a phenomenal race here. You know, we got a bunch of great race fans that are trying to give them a good race.
Hey, we expect the finish to be nothing less than a great finish as well. Mike Wallace will start at the head of this pack when we go green again.
All right, thanks, Dave. A reminder now, at the bottom of the hour, golf is going to be coming your way on ESPN when the race resumes. And it's really important, all you race fans out there, we will be switching over to ESPN2, and we will take you to the conclusion. So that's going to happen in about a minute from now. So it's the work continues, putting the catch fence back together on the tri-oval. And as you can see, the autographs are still going on the end of the pen of Mike Wallace. So again, golf coming up next on ESPN, the GTE Classic from Lutz, Florida. And then when the race resumes, we will bring it to you live as it happens to the checkered flag on ESPN2. So hopefully you're going to be able to join us there. And all golf fans, you're not going to miss anything. BP, Ray, the first 56 laps were great. Hopefully when this goes back to green flag, the last 44 are going to be just as fantastic.
I think it'll be a great show. We've still got some good trucks left.
All right, guys, for Dave Burns and Amy East, who are down below and have worn out their shoes, Ray Evernham and Benny Parsons, I'm Marty Reed. We'll see you on ESPN2 when we go back to green flag racing at the Daytona 250. GTE Classic is coming up next. So long for now.
What they did is they taped a new nose right over the old one, cut out a couple of the holes, and placed it right on top of the old one. So Joe Ruttman now has 2 noses on the front of his Dodge. And as we've seen already today, aerodynamics are everything here at Daytona, and especially when you're driving something the size of a huge refrigerator around this 2.5-mile oval.
Now, for those of you who have tuned in and wondered, wait a minute, why is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series on ESPN2 at this hour? This race was supposed to be over at 1:30. Well, a 10-truck pileup on the tri-oval in which Jeffrey Bodine was injured with a fractured right cheekbone and fractured right wrist, right elbow, big toe, and possible ankle fractures. And this is how it all happened, Benny Parsons.
About the 6th or 7th place there. There's Jeffrey Bodine, bam, in the outside retaining wall, and watch as he tumbles down the straightaway. Now, again, right, another truck is going to come along and hit it. Here, watch and listen. from Jeffrey Bodine's onboard. Listen. One more angle. Lyndon Amick, the green car, goes down. He and Kurt Busch go up, and they touch the 46 of Rob Morgan, and in the outside retaining wall goes Jeffrey Bodine.
The truck comes totally apart. You'll see the motor flying off there on the left upper portion of your screen. It ended up about 300 feet further down the track. One more view. Look how high he got.
I've been around this sport since 1960, and I've never seen a crash that a vehicle was torn up that bad. There's Jeffrey Bodine after he was taken out of the truck trying to get the oxygen mask off as he's taken to the ambulance.
Benny, just a terrible crash, but all of the safety equipment mandated by NASCAR, the rollover cage, the fireproof equipment, and the catch fence did its job.
Let's also update you. It was multiple fractures, but he's alert and conscious over at Halifax Medical Center. He's going to make a full recovery. Jimmy Kitchens was transported as a precautionary move. Now, there were also 5 spectators that were transported to Halifax. They are in stable condition. 4 other spectators were treated and released from the infield care center. So that is the complete update as you now have it. With this yellow flag situation, you had the option of taking tires, but our new leader, the number 60 of Andy Houston, took only fuel. So let's take a full field rundown, show you everybody who's currently out on the racetrack. It is Andy Houston, followed by Mike Wallace, Greg Biffle, his teammate Kurt Busch. Then it's Martin, Neunenberger, Grissom, Woodland, Setzer, Cook, McDonald, Corelli, and Ruttman. Those 13 all on the lead lap. Next time around, we are going to restart this race. The red flag came out at lap 56. Now, we have completed lap number 60 under caution now, and this is our 5th caution of the day. We've had records for leaders 12 and lead changes 22, and up until that big, huge crash, this was one of the most exciting races, if not the most exciting race this track has seen in years.
And still there's 40 laps to go, and we're going to see a lot more passing before this race is over.
Now, one of the guys you did not see on that leaderboard was Jack Sprague. Well, he didn't even make it to lap 56. He went out early in one of the prior collisions. And just as happened last year when Sprague won the championship in the first race of the season, he finds himself parked early in the event. Down on the backstretch, 3,000 feet, they'll head into turn 3 in the 31-degree banking. And let's go back and show you what happened to Jack Sprague a little bit earlier, BP.
Watch the red truck. There we see the 52 of Lyndon Amick hits Jeffrey Bodine, and then the 43 spins, and the 14 of Rick Crawford and the 24 of Jack Sprague, both in the outside retaining wall, and also the Brian Refter vehicle came along and hit Sprague to further ruin his day.
And the 43 was damaged in that crash also. They've been working on that truck for the whole race, and they've got the body squared away, and he's going to be pretty competitive here at the end, Benny.
Lyndon Amick and Jeffrey Bodine survived that first crash, but did not make it through the second one. We are getting ready to go back to green flag racing at Daytona International Speedway in the inaugural running of the Daytona 250. Andy Houston takes us back to the green flag, and we're again underway. Dennis Setzer has pulled onto pit road. Trouble for the Mopar Dodge. Dave?
Marty, they have a flat right rear tire. Does that sound redundant? It's the 3rd one today. They don't know why they keep puncturing them back there, but it's definitely a puncture. They also, the hood was up on the Mopar Dodge. That apparently was a hose clamp that had come loose. They lost some fluid, got a little sloppy putting it back in, so that's why there's a lot of fluid on pit road. But that's it for Dennis Setzer. They think he'll be okay now.
Terry Cook is, whoa, Grissom gets way high.
And Steve Grissom is trying to get out of the way, and luckily all these trucks have backed off, and looks like he will be able to get pit road, and I would guess a flat tire.
Could be another tire, Benny. Probably a lot of debris from that wreck.
Andy Houston continues to run up front. Now, NASCAR did a complete track inspection. In fact, they walked the entire front straightaway. But as you can tell, I mean, from time to time, these minuscule parts can put a puncture in a tire just that quickly.
And we're wondering if the added downforce on the back of these trucks could be part of the reason why they're puncturing so many tires.
Mike Wallace taking a look for the back bumper of the leader, Andy Houston.
Chevrolet leading a Ford. In third place, it's Greg Biffle, another Ford. Steve Grissom has pulled in and going back out. Dave, what happened?
Marty, right front tire only for Steve Grissom. It did shred and went down to the inner liner, so Steve is back out. A couple of the drivers have been radioing in that they think there is still metal on the racetrack, so these may be a result of going back to green flag racing.
Bad news for Steve Grissom, though. He has just gone a lap down because of that green flag pit stop. So his day is going to be a long road to hoe if he's going to get back into this. That's Terry Cook alongside of Andy Houston. They are shuffling in the 5th position, battling for it.
And finally, Terry Cook wisely pulls behind the 60 truck of Andy Houston and says, look, we better get hooked up and try to draft and catch all these Fords in front of that Ford at number 98. In 4th place is Kenny Martin out of Cleveland, Ohio.
His first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. We're on board with 2nd place, Greg Biffle. This would be just an incredible finish if Kenny Martin can even stay in that top 5 group.
If he can just hang there. He and his brothers have purchased this equipment from Liberty Racing. Last year, this vehicle was driven by Kevin Harvick. So it's good equipment, and Kenny doing a fantastic job today.
From Broadview Heights, Ohio, qualified 15th, dropped back early, now finds himself in the heat of the battle. On board with Mike Wallace. Now, the Fords did not look all that strong through practice and qualifying except for Wallace, but here they are, 4 of them running nose to tail.
I think right now what we're seeing are the survivors.
Looking back further into the field for our pole sitter, Joe Ruttman. There he is, the 3rd truck in this freight train. All that damage up front, obviously hurting the aerodynamics. Let's go on board with Joe on our Circuit City telemetry.
We'll check out Joe and see what kind of speed he can attain with his new nose piece. Down in the corner, he's down to 170 miles per hour, 160, not 163. Oh, Ruttman all of a sudden has some problems. Just as we go to him, we see the truck start slowing dramatically and
RPM.
No RPM. That means he has turned the engine off, and now he's trying to get. No, the engine is going to put, I do believe, in the Daytona Dodge.
So Joe Ruttman, who claimed his 6th career Truck Series pole, looks to be out of this one as he struggles back to pit lane. Meanwhile, up front, Mike Wallace continues, and he has led the most laps so far.
And I would guess right now that Greg Biffle is just going to hang right there and hope that he and Mike Wallace can drive away from Kurt Busch, Kenny Martin, and Andy Houston.
Those guys are going to try and stay lined up. They want to settle this race between themselves. Probably going to have to pit inside of about 10 laps if this stays green.
Wallace has led 29 of the 65 laps run so far. Remember, the Gatorade bonus money this year goes to the guy who leads the most laps. And he just chucked up another one. Andy Houston trying to go around. More on Joe Ruttman from Dave Burns.
Yeah, Joe Ruttman radioed into his crew, guys, the gauges just all went up temperature-wise on the 18. He caught it in time. They didn't want to grenade the engine, so they feel like they had a water leak, fluid leak somewhere, and just had nothing left to help cool that motor. And when the temperature shot up, Joe said, we're done.
While all this is going on, we'll update you also. The 75 of Marty Houston's back in the pits. That's a tough break for him. They had been running a very great race also until they got tangled up in some of the collision activity that's been going on today. 34 laps to go. Let's talk a little strategy. Amy, what have you found out about those top 3?
Well, Tim Cahuth, again, crew chief for the number 2, Mike Wallace, pointed out to me that 3 Fords drafting at the top of the board here is giving them the fastest laps of the entire week here at Daytona, so they feel really good about that. But I just learned that the 50 truck of Greg Biffle is overheating. Temperatures up into the 300 now, sitting so closely behind Wallace. So we may see a little bit of scrambling there amongst the top 3. Mike Wallace, though, very happy with drafting with 2 Fords behind him. He feels as though the truck is as strong as it's been all weekend long.
Happy hour, we saw speeds at 191 miles an hour. So if they're going quicker than that, and if they do get to some overheating, this team may have to break up that draft. So we'll find out when we come back at the Daytona 250 here at Daytona International Speedway. It looks like he's trying to give it a little space. But there ain't much air there. There he comes out of the wall.
He's trying to get a run against front, trying to pull the thing off, but he can't do it.
Okay. All right. Blimp. I got the copy. A unique bird's eye perspective. Today's race brought to you by the Bud One Airship and Budweiser, official beer of NASCAR. Great shots, guys. And that is the lead pack here at the Daytona 250 as the laps begin to wind down. Look out, Kurt Busch. He gets out of the draft. He may lose a spot or two. It's Mike Wallace in front of Greg Biffle. A report from Amy East. Biffle may be seeing the temperature soaring on his Granger Ford. The fourth truck in line there is a lap down. Here comes Andy Houston in third. He's trying to take second.
And he goes by Biffle with the aid of the lap truck of Dennis Setzer. Now, if Setzer helps that 60 truck to the front, the caution flags should come out. Then Houston should let Setzer have the lap back.
Definitely, Benny. They might have made a deal. Dennis Setzer in that Mopar Dodge has been strong all day. He got in that position to get a lap down because he got a flat tire when we went back green.
Here comes the slingshot. We talked about it quite a while ago, and they're going around Mike Wallace. Setzer trying to carry a light right on through. He's a lap down. Houston is the race leader. And there's Mike Wallace's view as he's third truck in line, second overall.
And you can see coming off turn 4 at Daytona late in the afternoon, you drive into that sun, really obscures your visibility.
So much so, NASCAR allowed an 8th crew member over the wall to specifically clean the windscreen when we went back to racing after the 2-hour and 24-minute red flag period. Side by side, this is going to slow both of them down. Houston momentarily may pull away a little bit. Let's get more on our race leader, Andy Houston. Amy?
Well, Ray Evernham hit it right on the nail. The deals are being made down here in the 60 pit. He has been talking with the one truck. Together, the two of them, whether it's in front or behind one another, they want to team up, go to the front. And of course, if that yellow comes back and the 60 is in front, he will indeed give the one truck his lap back. So a lot of deals being made down here on pit lane as far as drafting.
Amy, you better go talk to Mike Wallace because he just took the lead again. That's our 24th lead change among 12 different drivers. That is an all-time record in both categories for the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series.
And now we have the Roush trucks of Biffle and Kurt Busch. Biffle in the 50 and Busch in the 99, side by side. And here comes Kenny Martin, the 98, trying to blow by both of them.
On board with Greg Biffle. Martin slides in behind him. That's Setzer off to the backside there. He has lost contact. And there is Steve Grissom back into the pit area, and more problems on the right side.
Right front flat this time.
Well, he has had a tough break with the tires since we went back to green flag racing. It has cost him at least one lap, and now maybe two, as the guys come flying by, and he's still parked in pit lane.
Now we see we have a 2-truck breakaway, and we'll see if Greg Biffle in the 50 and Dennis Setzer in the 1 can catch Mike Wallace and Andy Houston.
Well, this is interesting. Wallace is in the Ford. Houston is in the Chevrolet. And they have the largest lead of the day. Coming through 4, Houston drifts a little bit higher. Slower traffic in front of them. They clear it safely.
It looks like that Biffle and Setzer are closing back up on the tailgate of Andy Houston. That time by, we'll check the speeds. And yes, Greg Biffle ran 191 miles per hour compared to the leader, Mike Wallace, at 188.
Action is going on. Take a look at 7th and 8th place. That is Rick Corelli, first truck race back since his horrendous crash at Memphis last year. And right behind him is Randy McDonald. This is a one-race deal in this truck that they're trying to turn into an entire season. So far, doing very well.
Randy McDonald has a great run going in 8th position as he races along with Corelli.
Rick Corelli, his last lap at about 180 miles an hour. They're going around Randy Tolsma. Right behind him, Randy McDonald. His best finish last year was 13th at Homestead, so this would be a big improvement for him. 25 laps to go. Corelli and the Carlin Burners and Control Ford took over that ride after Mike Stefanik drove it to Rookie of the Year honors last year. McDonald, his overall best career finish, 8th, as you saw there back at Flemington several years ago. While those two continue to try and reel in this lead pack, let's go back and set it for you. Mike Wallace is still up front. It's Greg Biffle in second. That's the lap vehicle. Dennis Setzer, the third truck in line, the number 1. And there is Andy Houston in third. Fourth place is the 99 of Kurt Busch. Dave, what's going on in the Roush camp? They've got the best numbers out there right now.
We're going to ask the 99 crew chief, that is Matt Chambers. He ran all the way down pit lane to talk to Randy Goss, crew chief of the 50. What did you guys decide to do, if anything?
Well, the Excite battery score is running really good right now. We're real happy with Kurt Busch. He's a great driver. We're real excited about the whole deal. And we're going to try to work with the 50 and come in together. I'm not going to say when, but we're going to try to work together and come in with them so we can stay together.
For the final pit stop?
Yeah, for the final pit stop.
When do you expect to make that?
Probably within the next 10 or 15 laps.
Okay, as they run side by side, guys, remember Kurt Busch has had a real adventurous weekend so far. He wrecked the truck in practice. They lost a motor in qualifying. They're just happy to be out there still running in the lead pack.
And he's doing very fine right now. Setzer right at the tail end of the lead lap. He wants to stay in front of Mike Wallace and Andy Houston, and the other two, the Biffle and Busch trucks, that are right behind him. He would get that lap back if a caution flag would come out, put him back on the lead lap.
And there are only 10 trucks on the lead lap, so that would put him in a very competitive position.
Looking on board with Greg Biffle. Boy, going past the slower traffic.
Man, that was so scary when you look out the tailgate of Biffle's truck, Granger truck.
Coming through the tri-oval again. Let's get Dennis Setzer's view of what's going on as we come through the tri-oval with 23 to go. Uh-oh, Dennis, you're in trouble. There goes Mike Wallace. Here comes Biffle in the 50. Setzer down low. We talked about it several hours ago, Ray, but if you stay down low, it eats up the tires.
Yeah, it eats up the tires, and there are times when it can kill momentum.
Last lap speed's 187 and change. These guys are doing some serious racing.
And we see that Kenny Martin in that 5th place truck has lost a lap, has lost a trap, and running by himself. He's 6-7 miles per hour slower than these trucks hooked up together.
Jack Roush on the stopwatches as always. He's got 2 trucks in very good condition right now as we get to the closing laps. Now, slower traffic, and here comes a freight train. Look out. Get out of the way. That's Neuenberger. He does stay down low, and everybody's going to get by cleanly. We're at Daytona International Speedway. If you've just tuned in, the race leader is the 2nd truck in line there, the number 2 Team ASE Ford. That is Mike Wallace with the Granger Ford. Greg Biffle right behind him. This has been the kind of racing that we've had all afternoon, except for the 2-hour and 24-minute red flag period. We've had 27 lead changes amongst 12 total drivers. And now we can tell you that Mike Wallace has led 41 of the 79 laps. That is enough to clinch him the Gatorade money for leading the most laps. Nobody can come close to touching him.
This year it has changed. Gatorade will pay their money for the vehicle that leads the most laps in the NASCAR Touring Series and not at the halfway.
On board with Dennis Setzer.
As he tries to get back to the front in case that caution flag should come out, trying to get back in the lead lap. And this is right beside the leader and just blows by Mike Wallace.
He's got a little help. There's his drafting buddy, Andy Houston. It's a Dodge and Chevy combo, but right now Houston needs all the help he can get because he's battling 3 Fords.
That Dodge and Chevy seem to work really well together. That could play a part at the end, even if they decide that they can fit together. That Mopar might help that Chevy.
Amy, what's the latest going on in the strategy camp?
Well, I've been trying to keep my line of communication open with Tim Cahoot. I jumped in to ask him what kind of strategy. Just about that time, the Ultra Bad Boys are setting up for a pit stop. Look within the next 3 laps to see Mike Wallace come down for right side tires. Just as I jumped out from talking to Tim Cahoot, here came Rick Red, who also is going to pit with the 2 truck and try to hook up here at the end.
Well, Amy, a yellow has just been shown at the starter's position, so we are going to have our 6th caution of the day, and this will change the strategy a lot, BP.
Rich Woodland just blew going down in turn 1. Now then, I guess the 1 vehicle of Setzer is racing Mike Wallace back to the line to try to get that lap back. Can Mike Wallace keep him back there?
NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series rules allow that if you are within contact of the leader, you can get a lap back. Otherwise, there is no racing back to the stripe, but it doesn't look like Wallace is going to be a gentleman about it at all. He's going to keep him a lap down.
He realizes that Dennis Setzer is a very competitive truck, and if he can keep him a lap down, that's 2.5 miles that he has to make up. So that was good strategy on Mike Wallace's part.
There's only 8 trucks on the lead lap, and when it comes down to that last 10 laps, it would be the single file rule, and boy, everybody be there, and so it would be 9, and Setzer's right. I mean, he is a player, so strategy plays out for Mike Wallace as he manages to keep Dennis Setzer 1 lap down and maintain the race lead. Ford Pace truck coming out to pick up the field. Mike Wallace.
We'll probably see everybody pit now.
Yeah, this is going to take the pit crew's strategy out of it as far as how much time to spend putting the fuel in, because they'll have plenty of time. But now, which do? You can do 2 tires only. Obviously, I would think everybody be leaning towards the rights.
I would say that they're going to come, they're going to put fuel, and they're going to put tires on. With only that many trucks on the lead lap, they're definitely going to want to put some fresh rubber on there.
We're at Daytona International Speedway. Marty Reed along with Ray Evernham, Benny Parsons, Amy East, and Dave Burns. The inaugural running of the Daytona 250. And we're under caution for the 6th time today.
Now, Andy Houston did not change tires the last caution flag. And the 3 trucks you're seeing, the 2 trucks of Wallace and Biffle and Kurt Busch, they all changed 4 tires. Now then, maybe the 250-99 fuel only, Ray?
Oh, Benny, I don't think so. I think with only, what have we got, 8 trucks on the lead lap, I believe that they'll come and put 2 right side tires on and fuel unless they've used up their quota of tires. Right now, you'd want to get some cool tires on that thing. Going to have about probably 16 laps to go to the end.
Well, they come down pit lane at 55 miles an hour, and Dave Burns is in Kurt Busch's pit.
They're going to put on right sides, Marty. Jason Muser on the rear and Ken Pillsbury on the front, getting the tires back on the car. No adjustments, according to Matt Chambers, the crew chief, and Kurt Busch will take on a full load of fuel. Amy East?
Well, Mike Wallace has come in for right side tires and fuel, and that is exactly what they wanted to do here. They were happy when they saw the yellow come out because they were going to stop anyway. They now are getting ready to get that second set of fuel in, but it looks like Andy Houston is going to win the race off of pit lane. Biffle, and then Setzer, and then Mike Wallace. So a little bit slower stop than you're used to seeing the Ultra Bad Boys.
And guys, everybody that is in that lead pack, as you see Ron Barfield coasting around the track, all of them went to right side tires and fuel.
Ray, you're exactly right. Once again, that's why you're the crew chief.
Well, Benny, it seems a little bit easier up here than it used to down on the box.
Well, that's because you don't have any of us sticking our microphones in there and saying, hey, Ray, what are you going to do?
That might have been Barfield that blew up a moment ago. It was a white car going down in 1. I thought it was Rich Woodland, but it could have been Barfield I saw smoking, and the reason for the caution flag.
Woodland is still shown in 11th spot, 1 lap down, so it probably was Barfield. MVP. Both of them are white trucks, so tough break for Ron Barfield in his own team now after running last year for Tom Gloy. There is Kurt Busch. Dave, what's the latest on this young rookie who's looking good?
Marty, he had about a 15-second longer pit stop than he wanted to. That's because a NASCAR official was standing right in front of his truck, wouldn't let him go anywhere. The guys, in their eagerness to put on those two right side sticker tires, came off the wall too soon.
Oops.
Oops. I tell you one thing, I have really been impressed with the job that Kurt Busch has done. This is a 21-year-old kid from the Southwest Series. And I know he has raced at Phoenix, and I guess he might have raced at California, but he's never seen a racetrack like this before, and I am really impressed with the job he's done today.
Me too, Benny. Pick your first race to race at Daytona Speedway. That's a pretty tough deal.
Next week, we continue our Florida excursion at the Dodge Dealers 400 from Homestead. It's 3:30 Eastern, Saturday, February 26th on the ESPN2, and Ray Evernham's going to be the Grand Marshal. And boy, we're going to watch him wave the flag and do all those official things. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com.
All I'll tell you is, Ray, don't drop that flag, because I will be unmerciful if you do.
For those of you who have just tuned in and saying, wait a minute, why is truck racing on ESPN2? We were in a 2-hour and 24-minute red flag period for this incident involving 10 trucks. And watch the black one on the top of your screen, Jeffrey Bodine. Now, I know if you have not seen that before, you are going to be stunned when I tell you he has a fractured cheekbone, fractured right wrist, right elbow, big toe, and some possible fractured ankle. There's another view.
That's eliminated. The green car goes down, and Rob Morgan, the 46, makes contact with Kurt Busch, and there Jeffrey Duncan comes along, hits Rob Morgan, and in that outside retaining wall, and it literally, in auto racing, they use the term, he tore the fence down, which means he hit awfully hard. Well, literally, he did, in fact, tear the fence down.
And Jeffrey is alert and conscious, and he is going to make a full recovery, and that is the best news we can pass along there. And this is when he got out, you could see him, he was moving, and that was the best sign that we could see at the time. We could also tell you Jimmy Kitchens was transported for precautionary moves, and then also we had 5 fans that were transported. The spectators have minor injuries. They're being treated at Halifax. There were also 4 other spectators treated and released from the infield care center. So that's the best news. After all that carnage, everybody is going to be okay. Now, we're going back to green flag racing here on lap 86.
15 laps to go to determine the first winner of the inaugural NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series at Daytona International Speedway. And look at Mike Wallace. Here he comes. Got to run.
Can he get in between or even get around Andy Houston? Now he picks up Biffle as a drafting partner, and the Chevrolet is hung out.
Yes, Greg Biffle said, Ford or Chevrolet. Let me see. Wasn't much of a decision. He dives on the back bumper of Mike Wallace.
We're on board with Wallace. This is at 187 miles an hour. $15 laps to go, 8 trucks on the lead lap. We've had 28 lead changes, by far and away the most ever in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. You're on board with Dennis Setzer. Now with Mike Wallace. We had to breathe it.
Andy Houston has another Chevrolet, and Terry Cook right behind him, and both those Chevrolets team up and drive by Mike Wallace.
Terry Cook qualified on a provisional with 32nd. He had a gearbox problem just as he was getting ready to take the green flag. He's finding himself with a chance to win here at Daytona.
I believe Dennis Setzer in that Dodge is going to do what he can to keep Andy Houston.
Some contact between Terry Cook and Biffle, and almost turned Cook around.
Cook gave him a little wave, and everything's okay. They're back at it. Cook's all right. Biffle's okay.
And for the lead, Mike Wallace goes in. Oh, I started to see went front, but no. Houston drafts on the back of that Dodge, and here comes Terry Cook once again.
I think Cook wants to try and hook up with Houston if he can, BP. That'd be 2 Chevrolets. Right now, he's going to stay on the back bumper of Mike Wallace.
Two abreast down the backstretch. Dennis Setzer is a lap down. He is trying to get back in position to become the 9th truck on the lead lap. So far, there are 8.
Oh, man. Dennis Setzer, we saw him working on the right front of his truck. It's like he's got a bad shock or something. He had a bump down in 3 and 4 that time, and the truck was all over the place.
On board, you can see that right side of the number 1 Mopar Dodge coming by the stripe. It's going to be Mike Wallace still in the lead with 12 laps to go at the Daytona 250. Terry Cook has found himself in 2nd place. Greg Biffle is 3rd. Andy Houston is 4th. You're on board again with Mike Wallace.
Here comes Andy Houston once again trying to follow Dennis Setzer.
Setzer, a lap down. We go back on board. Andy Houston loses some contact. Here comes Biffle. Dave, got an update on the 88?
Terry Cook had an extended stop, Marty. They didn't change any tires. They did that after the long red flag period. They worked a little bit more on their aero push on the left front. And how about a call to Kenny Martin in the 98? All smiles in their pits. Crew Chief Oliver Allen said they had no adjustments. They've just kept a tight truck under him all day and told him just relax, if that's even possible here at Daytona.
His first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race, and right now he's shown in 4th position, Kenny Martin is, and doing a great job. And so are these two. Mike Wallace has far and away led the most laps. 48 of the 89 that we have run. There have been 12 different leaders, 31 lead changes. I have a feeling there may be another one before this race is over.
And right now, these 3 lead trucks are threatening to drive away from Biffle and Kenny Martin.
And they're doing a pretty good job of it. 10 laps to go.
And Randy McDonald's in that group of trucks. He's currently in about 5th or 6th spot in the 72 3M Chevrolet.
McDonald's shown officially in 5th position. Biffle. Then it's Martin. There's Bush in the 99. And these guys got to get in line or they're going to lose contact for the rest of this race.
3 wide in 3. I'm telling you, they don't fit too good.
Hang on, baby. Here we go.
They're still coming to the corner. 3 wide.
Well, we already know it won't work through the Triova, guys. Somebody's got to lift. Here we go.
And it's Kenny Martin. No! Bush and Biffle make contact, and Biffle's in the wall.
So Bush can't hold on, slides up into Biffle. Greg has got damage to the right side of the Granger Ford and is slowing.
Greg did a great job hanging on to that truck.
Could have been wicked. Greg Biffle, as you said, Ray, did a miraculous job holding the Granger Ford off the wall. His race is over. Now, Setzer still trying to get his lap back. Here comes the 88 of Terry Cook, trying to get around Mike Wallace.
Tell you what, they had a 3-truck breakaway, but as long as there was some contact between those two, and Mike Wallace looks like ran Terry Cook down on the apron of the racetrack. Cook had to squeeze off the throttle.
Stay with him.
Setzer, he is on the tail end of the lead lap. That's your race leader, the number 2 Team ASC Ford. Let's go back and show you what happened to Greg Biffle.
Once again, 3 wide just does not work too good. And there we see that Kurt Busch moved up because of a truck inside of him. And once again, there was a truck, Greg Biffle on the outside, and he smacked the wall.
Meanwhile, this is the battle. The truck in the middle is your race leader. Mike Wallace, Terry Cook. In front of him is Dennis Setzer, so it's a Dodge, 1 lap down just about. And here comes the Ford of Mike Wallace, the Chevy of Terry Cook. These 3 have managed to break away. We can tell you the Granger Ford of Greg Biffle has made it to pit lane. His race is over as far as victory is concerned. On board again with Mike Wallace. 7 to go. Let's go to Amy and get the latest.
Of course, he's got some right side damage, a right front flat, but of course the 50 truck was also overheating. It was a matter of time that the temperatures on the 50 were going to be soaring. The word down here in the 50 pit is that the contact with, yes, his teammate Kurt Busch, the 99, is what he feels put him in the wall, and Greg Biffle's day is looking to be done at this point. Tough break for the Granger Ford.
There may be a team discussion after this one. You're going to be in that position here next year. What are you going to do, Coach?
That's when you take the headsets off and just head back to the trailer.
All right, here come the race leaders as this race is winding down. Mike Wallace is still in front. The other group with Andy Houston out front trying to reel him in. Houston shown in third.
And that time by, they were 3 miles per hour faster than the 3 lead cars. So I believe, as with just 6 laps to go, I think Andy Houston is going to catch him.
Setzer still trying to get his lap back, and does. Wallace is your race leader. Terry Cook is in second. There's Cook in the 88. And while these 3 have been dicing, you're right, Benny, that second group of 3 is reeling them in. This could be a 6-truck shootout as we head towards the final few laps. Look at the speeds. 188 by Andy Houston, and they are reeling them in.
And right now, Dennis Setzer is getting out of the way. The 1 truck, and what a gentleman he is, he's moving out of the way. He's letting these 5 trucks decide the victory amongst themselves. He'll move over, I think, and let Kenny Martin go by as well.
Dennis Setzer, hey, he's already done better than last year. Remember, he was out on the first lap of the first race, dead last in the points. He came back and finished third. He'll have another day. He just won't be today at the inaugural running of the Daytona 250.
Now, Mike Wallace has a very fast truck, but right now he's got a couple of problems. 2 Chevrolets on his tailgate.
This time by 4 laps to go. You're down to 10 miles of racing.
Check out Kenny Martin up in 4th place. Alongside comes Kurt Busch. And as I said, Setzer's going to move over and let these guys go.
Down the back straightaway. So now your first 5 trucks are all for position on the racetrack. It is Wallace, Terry Cook, then Andy Houston in the front for 3. Take a look at this. The drought. Andy Houston, 37 races. Terry Cook, 36 since they last made it to victory lane. It was Loudon where Andy Houston won. And for Terry Cook, it was Flemington in 1998. The other factor in this is Mike Wallace. Remember last year, opening race at Miami Homestead? Guess who our winner was?
Hold off to victory.
Question is, when do you go, Benny? When do you make your move?
Well, Mike Wallace is really going to be driving with that mirror. Really going to be using that mirror. So we will have to find it. Oh, here comes the 60 truck. He makes the move. He's going to go in the second spot. I do believe here comes Kenny Martin. He's going to help him.
It allows Mike Wallace to get a bit of a run. And it has pushed Terry Cook high, and he is going to lose 2 spots. Cook drops back to 5th. Here comes Andy Houston now. Right on the back bumper. We've got 2 laps to go. We're down to 5 miles of racing to win the Daytona 250. How wide can Wallace make this board? That's going to be the key.
Exactly right. That is going to be the key, because with the drafting, the slingshot that we talked about at the very top of the show, he's going to be moving back and forth. Here comes Kenny Martin. And Andy's saying, come on, help me out, Kenny. And here goes Andy on the outside. He's got to run.
High side for Andy Houston at over 187 miles an hour, door to door. Nobody's lifted. They come through the trioval. The white flag is out. It's Mike Wallace, Andy Houston. Then it's Kurt Busch in 3rd. Terry Cook in 4th. They're through 1. Andy Houston has opened up about 3 truck lengths.
And he's got 2 trucks racing side by side behind him. If they can get in line, they might catch him, but they can't get in line. No one wants to give up that position.
We talked about your name goes on the trophy. You'll be the first winner, the only guy who can ever make that claim. It happened here for Lee Petty. It happened here for Dan Gurney. Who's it going to happen for? We've got 2 turns remaining. Will it be Andy Houston, Mike Wallace, Kurt Busch, rookie Kenny Martin in his first ever truck race? Oh, Andy Houston way low.
He almost crashed coming up over. Here comes Mike Wallace in the lead.
Mike Wallace, 2 years in a row, is going to win the first race of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series and the inaugural Daytona 250. His second career victory at Daytona. Remember the ARCA race? He took the 52 car to Victory Lane back then, 1994, and this year he is going to go to Victory Lane, and this was their goal. They said they wanted to win this race more than anything else, to set the tone and to be the history maker. Well, guess what? The name on the trophy is going to be Mike Wallace. When we come back to Daytona, we'll talk to him in Victory Lane.
Wow. Pretty good stuff, huh? That's what it's supposed to be like. Mike broke loose from 3 up. If they hadn't stayed side by side, he broke 3 up. And you're right. He had such a run. There's nothing Andy could do. And Andy about crashed over.
Yeah, he about spun over there. Hit the apron with the left front.
Yeah, he did a nice job. Yeah.
Man, that was... Is that Jimmy Smith on? Is that Jimmy Smith on? Is that Jimmy Smith?
Back at the Daytona 250. You're on board with Mike Wallace as he is making his way towards Victory Lane, and he's making a U-turn and coming back for what could be, well, an abbreviated Polish victory lap, as he's back into pit lane. 41st Ford victory in 123 NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series races. The 3rd win for Mike Wallace. And while he makes his way towards Victory Lane, our thanks to the sky-high views of today's race, courtesy of the Bud One Airship and Budweiser, the official beer of NASCAR. Thanks, guys. Some great views. In fact, that's the view from high above in the Bud One. So Mike Wallace is coming your way, Dave Burns, and I guarantee you, underneath that helmet, there is a grin ear to ear. These guys really came and did their homework, did a lot of off-season testing. Dave, it's all yours.
And Mike Wallace is trying to release the helmet net there, and they're going to move him forward just a little bit to make sure everything is picture perfect here in Victory Lane. And now Wallace emerges. Winner of the first ever NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race. A big embrace from wife Carla. And through all these years, is this the biggest win? You've won at Daytona before, but is this the biggest win of all, doing it in the trucks?
I'm going to tell you what, it's a phenomenal win for us. I'm just so happy for the entire ASE team, I said Ford F-150.
Greg Biffle giving him a big congratulations there.
Said what he was going to do. Thanks, man. Thanks. This is Daytona. I've won here twice. First inaugural truck race. I mean, I was a sitting duck. Houston, when I seen Houston catch us, I went, oh my God. And Kenny Martin in that 98 truck, I mean, he helped me down the back straightaway, and I was making a run to the top, and Andy was going to run me to the top, and I was going to the fence regardless. But this is such a huge win, a huge deal for the truck series. I'm glad to hear Jeff Bodine's doing okay. You know, it's a shame that wreck, because I'm telling you what, if you folks didn't enjoy that, I don't know what turned you on.
Every race fan did, Mike. Congratulations, the winner of the inaugural event here at Daytona in the trucks, and he's hoping for a few more yet this year, guys.
He led 59 of 100 laps. We had 12 different leaders, 31 lead changes, far and away the most ever in a NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series event. Let's take a look at the final results and take a look as we go through the top 5. Terry Cook ended up in 4th, and both Busch in 2nd and Martin in 5th in their first ever NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series races. Rick Corelli comes back after his huge crash in 7th. Take a look at the attrition rate. Remember, 10 of them went out in that huge crash and lap 56. And there are the rest of the 36 trucks that started this inaugural running of the Daytona 250. remaining speed weeks. We've got a lot more coming up your way. Take a look as we'll show you exactly what's on the schedule. Families of NASCAR, part of NASCAR 2000 on ESPN, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Then tomorrow, it'll be happy hour for the Winston Cup cars, 10 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. And then Monday, the winning car induction ceremony. That's 4 o'clock Eastern on ESPN. Our next truck race next week, Florida continues on our schedule at the Dodge Dealers 400 Miami Homestead, 3:30 Eastern time here on ESPN2, Saturday, February 26th. So that's going to do it for all of us. Take a look at what happened today in the inaugural running for Ray Evernham, Benny Parsons, Amy East, and Dave Burns. This is Marty Reed. Thanks so much for joining us. NBA Finals are up next. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com, part of the Go Network, go.com. So long, everybody.